Chapter 397. In the quiet courtyard, Ao Wuming was sitting beside the table. As for Lian Zhu, she walked over with a cup of tea. "Wuming, what are you distressed about?" Lian Zhu placed the tea in front of Ao Wuming. Ao Wuming took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. He looked to Lian Zhu and said, "Madam, do you think I should let Imperial Father go see Big Brother? Big Brother is not willing to see Imperial Father, yet Imperial Father wants to see Big Brother. What should I do?" "You've been thinking about this for so long." Lian Zhu smiled. "What? Do you have a good idea?" Ao Wuming had been distressed about this for 3 to 4 days. Lian Zhu scolded with a smile. "You're truly foolish. Why do you need to decide on this matter yourself? You should directly tell your Imperial Father about this matter, and then bring your Imperial Father to your Big Brother. Big Brother will give birth. Don't be anxious." Lian Zhu interrupted him. "When you go see Big Brother, don't let the Dragon Emperor appear first. Go see your Big Brother alone first and ask him if he's willing to see the Dragon Emperor. Regardless of whether your Big Brother is willing or not, you should still tell your Imperial Father the result. If Big Brother is unwilling, then wouldn't Imperial Father have come here for nothing?" Just as Ao Wuming said this, he started laughing. "Ah, you clever brat. You're truly smart. Even if my Big Brother doesn't agree, once I tell Imperial Father about it, I reckon that Imperial Father will directly appear. At that time wouldn't they still meet? At that time Big Brother cannot blame me." Lian Zhu giggled. After rubbing Lian Zhu's nose, Ao Wuming immediately walked out of the courtyard excitedly. "I'll go and inform Imperial Father. Times on a certain planet near the Bird Clan's territory. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor had already arrived. Currently, Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor had already changed their appearances. They were currently analyzing the information in a residence on this planet. An enormous interstellar map scroll was hung on the wall. This interstellar map only showed the Dragon Clan's territory. After all, even though the writing was very small and filled the entire wall, it was still only barely enough to show the Dragon Clan's territory. Brother Feng Yu, Qin Yu and Ho Fei have already arrived here. Xian, she pointed to one of the Dragon Clan's planets. Emperor Yu looked at the map on the wall and nodded. They've already traveled half the distance. Right now we still don't know which border planet they're heading to. There were 6 border planets between the Dragon Clan's territory and the Bird Clan's territory. These 6 border planets led to different planets. Although Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had decided to intercept and kill Qin Yu and the others the moment they arrived at the Bird Clan's territory, they were still unable to ascertain which border planet Qin Yu had arrived at. Judging by the route they're taking, they're most likely going to one of these 2 border planets. As for which border planet, we can only continue to wait for news, Xian, she said with a frown. As Emperor Yu's and Mystic Emperor's subordinates sent back information, the route Qin Yu and Ho Fei took became clearer and clearer. "Reporting to your majesties, Qin Yu and Ho Fei have arrived at Lotus Fish Star." An immortal emperor reported respectfully. Lotus Fish Star. Emperor Yu's and the Mystic Emperor's eyes shined. They turned around and looked at the enormous interstellar map. The Mystic Emperor pointed with one hand and said, "Brother Feng Yu, they've now set foot on Lotus Fish Star. Clearly, they're about to set foot on this border planet. In that case, they'll be entering the Bird Clan's territory, the Yellow Bird Star." The Mystic Emperor pointed at a planet at the border of the enormous interstellar map, the Yellow Bird Star. The entire interstellar map was the Dragon Clan's territory. At the very most, there were a few border planets at the border. When Qin Yu and Ho Fei stepped onto the Lotus Fish Star, they've already clearly told Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor their route. Yellow Bird Star. Emperor Yu looked at the Yellow Bird Star on the map. His eyes flickered. "Good. Let's depart immediately and head to the Yellow Bird Star. We'll wait for Qin Yu and the others there." Let's depart immediately. The Mystic Emperor was very straightforward. After the 2 of them finished speaking, they immediately used greater teleportation and arrived at another planet. They took the interstellar teleportation array and rushed toward the yellow bird star. The Mystic Emperor and the others were originally very close to the Bird Clan's territory. In less than a day, they arrived at the yellow bird star. The yellow bird star. As an important transit planet for the Dragon Clan and the Bird Clan, the yellow bird star was naturally incomparably flourishing. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had already arranged a lot of people on this planet. Now, a lot of experts from other places have also started to gather on the yellow bird star. In a certain outskirts of the yellow bird star, it was desolate and uninhabited. However, in a certain mountain forest, there was a quiet courtyard. This courtyard was the residence that the subordinates of Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had just built on the yellow bird star. It was specially built to wait for Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor to come and live in. Ever since Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor decided to kill Qin Yu the moment he stepped into the Bird Clan's territory, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor gave the order to build residences on the 6 border planets, including the yellow bird star, for Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor to live in. In the courtyard, Emperor Yu and Xian Shi were quietly waiting for the news from their subordinates. Your Majesties, according to Qin Yu and Hou Fei's speed, if they don't stop to rest, then they will arrive at the yellow bird star in 2 days. A level 9 golden immortal subordinate said respectfully. Xian Shi nodded indifferently and said, "Well then you can withdraw now." That subordinate immediately bowed and withdrew. Brother Feng Yu, Qin Yu and them will arrive in at least 2 days. In these 2 days we should rest for a bit. When they arrive, it won't be too late for us to attack. Xian Shi looked to Emperor Yu. Brother Feng Yu, you've been too nervous these days. Emperor Yu was slightly startled. Right, it should be because I think too highly of Qin Yu. Emperor Yu smiled indifferently. I don't have the heart to rest at this time. If you want to rest, then rest. Seeing Emperor Yu's current appearance, Xian Shi couldn't help but say helplessly, "Amen, I'll accompany you here. I hope that Qin Yu and Hou Fei will not stop to rest on their journey and arrive at the yellow bird star sooner," said Emperor Yu in his heart. His gaze grew cold. Times. Can't Qin Yu and Hou Fei stop to rest? Said the Dragon Emperor helplessly. Ao Wuming, who stood to the side, also had nothing to say. Ever since Ao Wuming told the Dragon Emperor about what happened, the Dragon Emperor was so excited that he immediately wanted to go to Qin Yu and them. However, at this time, Qin Yu had already run very far away. The Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming could only slowly chase after him. Actually, the Dragon Emperor and them could also send a transmission to Qin Yu and them to wait for a bit. However, the Dragon Emperor also knew that Qin Yu was in a hurry to find his brothers. The Dragon Emperor did not want to waste his time. Thus, he could only exhaust himself and try his best to intercept Qin Yu from another direction. The location of the green crystal star was originally very far away from Qin Yu's route. Currently, the Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming were rushing toward the Bird Clan through another route. They would only be able to teleport to the yellow bird star 2 more times when they arrived at the border planet of the Bird Clan. Imperial Father, according to their speed, Qin Yu and them should be able to reach the yellow bird star in 2 days. If we speed up a bit, we should also be able to reach the yellow bird star in 2 days, said Ao Wuming as he calculated. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Their speed was faster than Qin Yu's. That's because the 2 of them did not need to line up. By taking out the Dragon Clan's Imperial family's title plate, they would be able to immediately step into another interstellar conveying array the moment they stepped out of the interstellar conveying array. Like this. Their speed was clearly much faster than Qin Yu's. Time passed very slowly under the attention of all parties. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Ao Wuming have already arrived at the Lin Yu star. They are still 1 day away from the yellow bird star. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Ao Wuming are still half a day away from the yellow bird star. With all the information, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor did not dare to be distracted in the slightest. Your Majesties, Qin Yu and Hou Fei have already arrived at the border planet of the Dragon Clan. After they finish lining up, They will need to go from that border planet to the border planet of the bird clan, the yellow bird star. Hearing this information, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor both stood up. Qin Yu is coming. Emperor Yu's eyes shined. The Mystic Emperor also tightly held onto Emperor Yu's hand. Brother Feng Yu, don't be nervous. Under normal circumstances, this Qin Yu would definitely not be able to block our combined sword attack. Emperor Yu nodded. However, Emperor Yu still involuntarily clenched his fists. He still remembered that after he refined the entire reef yellow star, what he got in return was Qin Yu hiding inside the green speck and slaughtering all of his subordinates. Today, I will definitely kill you. Emperor Yu roared angrily in his heart. Times, Ho Fei and Qin Yu were lining up. Big brother, there's really a lot of people on this border planet. There's actually over 100 people lining up. I reckon that it'll still be a while before it's our turn. Ho Fei said helplessly. Qin Yu also smiled. How could the amount of people on an ordinary planet catch up to a border planet like this? Over 100 people, after lining up for a while, they all arrived at the yellow bird star on the other side through the interstellar conveying array. Next, the man who was in charge of collecting elemental spirit stones said coldly. After collecting the elemental spirit stones from Qin Yu and Qin Yu, this man let Qin Yu and Ho Fei enter the interstellar conveying array and directly activated it. The next planet belonged to the bird clan's territory. A burst of misty radiance flickered. When the radiance disappeared, Qin Yu and Ho Fei discovered that they had arrived at the yellow bird star. Yellow bird star, we've arrived. A trace of joy appeared on Qin Yu's face. Big brother, we're tired after rushing for so long. According to the plan, let's rest on this planet. Ho Fei walked out from the interstellar conveying array and even stretched his body. Qin Yu smiled and said, "Don't be anxious. Let Shizhan determine Xiao Hei's location first, and then determine the interstellar path we should take next." Ho Fei also nodded. The safety of this Shizhan was extremely important. Only with this Shizhan would they be able to find Kuro more easily. This place is filled with crooks mixed in with honest folks. Let's go to a quiet place without anyone and then have Shizhan come out. Qin Yu pulled Ho Fei. The two of them turned into rays of light and flew toward the east. And at this moment, an immortal took out his transmission spiritual pearl. Your lordship, Qin Yu and Ho Fei have already arrived. They did not continue their journey and instead stopped at the yellow bird star. After exiting the interstellar conveying array, they flew toward the east. Qin Yu and Ho Fei flew for several hundred miles before landing. There were no signs of human habitation here. There was only a desolate prairie. Qin Yu directly brought Shizhan out from the Jianglan's realm. Once Shizhan came out, he saw Qin Yu and Ho Fei and immediately said respectfully, "Shizhan pays his respects to Lord Qin Yu and Lord Ho Fei." Well then, Ho Fei directly said loudly, "Immediately sense the approximate location of your master Kuro. We have already given you the map of the bird clan. Give us an approximate location." "Yes." Shizhan bowed and said. He then stood to the side and began to quietly sense Kuro's location. Qin Yu suddenly frowned. "Big brother, what's wrong?" Ho Fei asked in confusion. Qin Yu frowned and said, "Earlier, there was an immortal awareness that scanned the surroundings." Ho Fei smiled and said carelessly, "Oh, that's it. It's common for cultivators to use their immortal awareness and demon awareness to scan the surroundings when they have nothing to do. What's so good about that?" "No, that immortal awareness from earlier seemed to be of a very high level." Qin Yu frowned deeply. "Merely, that immortal awareness disappeared after scanning the surroundings. I did not have the time to carefully inspect it. However, it was at least a level 6 immortal emperor. Qin Yu's location has been ascertained." She nodded to Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu's eyes emitted a scorching radiance. "Finally, the time has come. Prepare to join hands immediately. My power is a bit higher than yours. I will be in charge of the attack immediately. Do you understand?" She nodded. Immediately after, the two of them glanced at each other. Very tacitly, they floated in the air at the same time. Soon after, the two of them simultaneously formed hand seals. The hand seals they formed were exactly the same. At the same time, they were also letting out strange syllables from their mouths. Two divine swords floated beside the two of them. They were the Great Emperor's sword and the flowing great sword. One was golden in color and the other was jade green in color. Suddenly, Xian Shi and Emperor Yu's figures began to change alternately. As if they were teleporting, the two of them unceasingly changed their figures. The Great Emperor's sword and the flowing great sword let out a buzzing sound and began to touch and fuse with each other. Radiance flickered and sword aura suddenly broke through the sky. The Great Emperor's sword and the flowing great sword fused into a high-quality divine sword, unparalleled great sword. Emperor Yu and Xian Shi glanced at each other. The two of them once again teleported. This time, the hand seals Emperor Yu and Xian Shi made were completely different. Emperor Yu's fingers were emitting rays of golden light. With a single hand, he pointed at the unparalleled great sword. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Emperor Yu's eyes. Whoosh! Emperor Yu's immortal awareness suddenly covered the entire yellow bird star. Qin Yu, who was waiting for Shizhan's answer, was immediately found. And Qin Yu, who was covered by Emperor Yu's immortal awareness, also had a change in expression. Something's wrong. Qin Yu immediately became alert. Qin Yu immediately wanted to spread out his immortal awareness. However, right at the moment when that immortal awareness covered Qin Yu felt that the entire yellow bird star's heaven and earth started to tremble. An astonishing brilliance broke through the sky and attacked toward him. Even a slight spatial crack appeared in the space. Fast, too fast. Just as Qin Yu's immortal awareness spread out, that divine sword had already arrived. PFFF. Its speed was faster than any attack Qin Yu had ever encountered. It was at least 10 times faster than the green-blooded sword immortal's attack. Qin Yu did not even have the ability to react or dodge. Qin Yu only felt his body tremble. A frightening force caused Qin Yu's body to be pierced and sent flying backwards. That force was brought about by the divine armor. The black frozen snow battle armor merely paused for a moment and blocked the divine sword for less than an instant. That divine sword pierced through the divine armor as if it was piercing through gauze. Qin Yu's body was pierced through like tofu. That divine sword directly pierced through Qin Yu's dantian in his abdomen. Blood burst forth. Qin Yu died. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor immediately teleported in front of Qin Yu. When Hou Fei saw this lightning-fast scene, especially when he saw that divine sword pierced through the divine armor and pierced through Qin Yu's vital dantian, Hou Fei was completely stunned. "Big brother!" Hou Fei's eyes were very red. He shouted himself hoarse. Hou Fei's body flickered with radiance. A several hundred zhang tall, enormous ape illusion appeared behind Hou Fei. A layer of silver fur appeared on Hou Fei's body. His eyes were golden and his lips were purple. Ah! A beast roar that originated from his soul sounded. Hou Fei's golden eyes immediately turned very red. The corners of his eyes were about to burst. "Hand over your life." Following the roar, the black stick in his hand shook. Countless stick images appeared like endless waves. In an instant, they covered Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Chapter 398. At this moment, Qin Yu was kneeling on the ground. His hands were also on the ground. Blood was still spurting out from his mouth. PFFF. Blood was still flowing out from Qin Yu's mouth. Under the attack of the matchless great sword, cracks appeared in the space. Qin Yu's divine armor, black frozen snow, was directly pierced and destroyed. When the matchless great sword pierced into Qin Yu's dantian, there was still a lot of frightening sword aura that shot out in all directions from the matchless great sword. If the thing in Qin Yu's dantian was Yuanying, then he would definitely die. After all, Yuanying's defense was too weak. The space in the dantian could be said to be big and boundless. Could also be said to be small. In reality, it was just a part of the body. The black hole in Qin Yu's dantian was attacked by the two-sword aura. Qin Yu's black hole directly engulfed the two-sword aura. The large amount of sword aura that exploded in Qin Yu's body was added by Emperor Yu to guarantee that he would definitely kill Qin Yu. With so much sword aura, the attack power was actually not that strong. To Yuanying it might be disastrous. However, to Qin Yu's dantian black hole, it didn't have much of an effect. Merely, when the matchless great sword pierced into Qin Yu's dantian, it caused Qin Yu's dantian black hole to tremble slightly. Fortunately, the matchless great sword did not pierce into the dantian black hole. Otherwise, the black hole would most likely collapse. The life elemental energy was rapidly healing the injuries in Qin Yu's body. If the thing in my dantian was Yuanying, then I would have really died this time. Qin Yu, who was lying on the ground, raised his head and looked forward with red eyes. At this moment, Hou Fei was attacking Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor like a madman. Times like a madman. Hou Fei unleashed his strongest battle power. The heaven-startling 36 stick strikes had been activated to the extreme. Countless stick shadows were frantically attacking Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Big brother Feng Yu, this Hou Fei is blocking our way like a madman. What should we do? She sent a voice transmission. Emperor Yu also started to frown as he blocked Hou Fei's attack. Even though Hou Fei had performed exceptionally, no matter if it was in terms of power, technique, or comprehension of the heaven and earth, he was still far inferior to Emperor Yu. Don't worry about him. Qin Yu doesn't seem to be breathing right now. A trace of joy appeared on Emperor Yu's face. The might of that sword strike from earlier, even I myself would not be able to block it. He will undoubtedly die. Emperor Yu didn't know that at this moment, Qin Yu had merely concealed his aura. It seems that he is no longer breathing. However, the injuries on his body are healing at an extremely fast speed. How strange. She noticed that Qin Yu's injuries were healing. Oh! Emperor Yu was surprised. Could it be that this Qin Yu didn't die? Emperor Yu was truly unable to believe it. When the two of them joined hands, their strength surpassed that of level 9 immortal emperors. Furthermore, they possessed the high-quality divine sword, matchless great sword. Their attack power was even capable of ripping apart space. With that kind of power, how could they still not be able to kill Qin Yu? He had clearly seen with his immortal awareness that the divine sword had pierced through Qin Yu's abdomen. Hou Fei appeared as if he had gone mad. "Fei, I'm not dead." A voice sounded in Hou Fei's mind. It caused Hou Fei to suddenly wake up. "Quickly leave the two of them. I'll take you into the Zhonglan's realm. Quickly." Hou Fei understood the current situation. Immediately, he began to rapidly retreat. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor did not want to kill Hou Fei to begin with. Now that they saw that Hou Fei was retreating, they naturally would not chase after him. "Brother Qin Yu, he's still alive. I sense Qin Yu's aura." Xi's expression suddenly changed. Earlier, when Qin Yu sent a voice transmission to Hou Fei, he had naturally spread out his soul's aura. After that, he immediately restrained it. Unexpectedly, it was still discovered by Shi. With an intention from Qin Yu, Hou Fei and Shizhan, who was hiding far away, were taken into the Zhonglan's realm. After ensuring the safety of Hou Fei and Shizhan, Qin Yu had completely let go of the worries in his heart. Qin Yu was completely capable of directly entering the Zhonglan's realm. "Emperor Yu, I truly did not expect that. After the battle on the reef Yellow Star, you actually still dared to be so excessive. You even chased after me relentlessly to kill me." Qin Yu looked at Emperor Yu. Within his eyes were traces of anger. Earlier, the divine armor Black Frozen Snow had already been destroyed. The divine armor Black Frozen Snow's defense was very strong. However, once it was pierced through, it would truly be destroyed. Only those people who were able to refine divine armaments would be able to repair it. As for the immortal devil and demon realm, It was likely that no mysterious person would be able to repair it. How is this possible? Emperor Yu saw that Qin Yu actually stood up and spoke to him. It was as if he had been struck by lightning and turned into an idiot. His face was filled with disbelief. Qin Yu, you actually didn't die. You actually didn't die. Absolutely impossible. Emperor Yu's eyes were emitting cold light. His entire body was surging with energy. Beside him, Xian Xi's face was also filled with shock. She was also shocked that Qin Yu didn't die. Qin Yu looked at Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu, listen carefully. In the mortal realm, that Hua Yan used my family as a threat. On the Amber Moon Star, you also sent people to kill me. On the Blue Snow Star, you also chased after me. On the Reef Yellow Star, you didn't even hesitate to refine an entire planet to kill me. This time you did it again. You wanted to kill me again and again. Not once did I take the initiative. It was always you who chased after me to kill me. Qin Yu's anger soared to the heavens. He angrily pointed at Emperor Yu with one hand. Emperor Yu, what do you think I, Qin Yu, am? I originally didn't want to form a death grudge with you. However, you relentlessly chased after me, vainly trying to kill me and steal my treasures. Even a clay figurine would have some temper. Good. You forced me to do this. I, Qin Yu, hereby swear that there will be a day when I will kill you. I, Qin Yu, and you, Emperor Yu, will not rest until one of us is dead. Qin Yu angrily pointed at Emperor Yu. That angry voice resounded in the heavens and earth. I, Qin Yu, and you, Emperor Yu, will not rest until one of us is dead. The voice continuously reverberated and spread. Won't rest until one of us is dead. Then you must die. Emperor Yu's figure transformed into lightning. Up. Suddenly, two angry shouts sounded. The energy contained in those angry shouts caused Emperor Yu's expression to change. These two people were both wearing golden gowns. One of them was a golden-haired young man, and the other was a white-haired old man. Dragon Emperor. Emperor Yu's expression greatly changed. The mystic emperor's expression also changed. The Dragon Emperor took a glance at the pierced divine armor on Qin Yu's body and the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth. He turned around and looked at Emperor Yu. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. Feng Yu, for you to chase after Qin Yu so relentlessly, isn't it too excessive? Emperor Yu sneered and said, Dragon Emperor, could it be that you didn't hear what Qin Yu said earlier? He said that he will not rest until one of us is dead. Qin Yu, are you all right? Ao Wuming arrived beside Qin Yu. It's just that the divine armor was destroyed. Qin Yu took off the damaged divine armor on his body and immediately stored it into the blazing profound ring. He then condensed a set of gowns with the power of the black hole. Haha! The Dragon Emperor laughed out of extreme anger. Feng Yu, I never thought that you would actually be this shameless. I also heard what Qin Yu said earlier. You chased after Qin Yu time and time again. It seemed that you were the one who took the initiative to attack. Good. You destroyed Qin Yu's divine armor. I will also make you pay the price. The aura on the Dragon Emperor's body began to surge. The Dragon Emperor was about to attack. Seeing this scene, Ao Wuming instead displayed a joyous expression. He said to Qin Yu, my imperial father is about to attack. Rest assured, with my imperial father attacking, Emperor Yu will definitely not be a match for him. Qin Yu slightly nodded. He knew that the three emperors of the Dragon clan were all powerful. This Dragon Emperor possessed an inherited treasure. According to what the Ox Demon Emperor and them said, this inherited treasure was even stronger than divine artifacts. Qin Yu and Ao Wuming were very happy. However, when Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor heard that the Dragon Emperor was about to attack, their expressions changed. Dragon Emperor, are you really going to attack us for this, Qin Yu? Said Mystic Emperor Xian Shi coldly. Although Xian Shi was a woman, she had been on the Emperor's throne for a long time. Thus she also possessed her own dignity. Emperor Yu also stared at the Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Emperor smiled indifferently and said, "How many years has it been since I last attacked? It seems that not many people know of the Dragon Emperor's strength. Did you all really think that you would be able to fight against me with merely that matchless great sword? What a joke." Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor waited for the Dragon Emperor to attack. Boom! A dazzling golden light suddenly blossomed from the Dragon Emperor's body. It soared into the sky and shook the heaven and earth. The Dragon Emperor, who was bathed in the golden light, was like a god of war. "To deal with you all, I only need a single punch," said the Dragon Emperor indifferently. However, his voice contained absolute arrogance. A golden liquid visible to the naked eye emerged from the Dragon Emperor's body. Soon after, it covered the Dragon Emperor's entire body and formed a set of battle armor that covered his entire body, including his fists. "Be careful," said Emperor Yu to his wife via voice transmission. Times Qin Yu and Ao Wuming watched attentively. "Big brother Wuming, is the Dragon Emperor truly confident?" Qin Yu asked via voice transmission. Ao Wuming said confidently, "Rest assured. Although Emperor Yu has reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, his strength is the same as my Imperial Father's. Furthermore, my Imperial Father possesses the Dragon Clan's inherited treasure. To deal with them is simply a piece of cake." Seeing that Ao Wuming was this confident, Qin Yu relaxed and carefully watched the battle. The Dragon Emperor, who was bathed in the golden light, lightly laughed. "Be careful." Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had also condensed their power to the extreme. The two divine swords before them were also trembling. They were prepared to attack at any moment. Suddenly, with a flash of golden lightning, the Dragon Emperor arrived before Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor attacked at almost the same time. As for the Dragon Emperor, his right fist also smashed forward. One could only hear, "Gotcha!" A single punch. That fist covered in golden light smashed onto the divine armor on Xian Shi's body. Cracks appeared on the divine armor and Xian Shi's complexion instantly turned deathly pale. Earth. Emperor Yu's expression took a huge change. He immediately held onto Xian Shi in fear and flew backwards. Are you all right?" Emperor Yu said to Xian Shi from several hundred meters away in fear. At this moment, Xian Shi's complexion was incomparably pale. She looked at Emperor Yu and tried her best to squeeze out a smile. "I'm fine. That Dragon Emperor didn't want to kill me. Merely, I didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor would be able to break my divine armor this easily." The defensive power of the divine armor worn by an 8th-grade immortal sovereign was extremely strong. However, under the Dragon Emperor's fist, it was still destroyed by the cracks. Only at this moment did Emperor Yu manage to react. With an intention, he retrieved the Great Emperor's sword. At the same time, he also retrieved the flowing great sword with his immortal elemental energy. During this process, the Dragon Emperor did not stop them at all. Feng Yu listened carefully. The Dragon Emperor was as straight as a spear. He looked at Emperor Yu, who was half kneeling and hugging his wife. "Today you destroyed Qin Yu's divine armor and seriously injured him. Now, I will destroy one of your divine armor and seriously injure the Mystic Emperor as repayment." Emperor Yu tightly clenched his teeth. However, he didn't say anything. No matter what, the gap between him and the Dragon Emperor was too big. Since his strength was inferior, he could only grit his teeth and swallow his pride. Emperor Yu coldly humphed. Immediately after, he fiercely glared at Qin Yu. Then, he hugged his wife and turned into a ray of light and disappeared. As a level 8 immortal emperor, Xian Shi's injuries recovered very quickly. "Brother Feng Yu, don't mind it too much," Xian Shi said to Emperor Yu. Seeing Emperor Yu's current expression, Xian Shi was still very worried. Emperor Yu was very arrogant. The blow he received this time was truly too great. Everything was prepared so perfectly. Even the final attack was so perfect. However, in the end they still failed. Furthermore, the Dragon Emperor even appeared. Emperor Yu shook his head. According to what that Qin Yu said, the few times I tried to deal with him, those few times. The first time resulted in the death of Hua Yan. The second time resulted in the death of a large number of golden immortals on the Amber Moon Star. The third time on the Blue Snow Star. I strenuously monitored him for a long time but was unable to find any trace of him. The fourth time, on the Reef Yellow Star. He even sent Ao Wushu to kill 26 immortal emperors. Do you think I can endure this? Emperor Yu gasped for breath. A cold light flickered in his eyes. He humiliated me time and time again. Furthermore, this time he even swore that he would not rest until he was dead. At this point, how can I still shrink back? He humiliated me time and time again. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to rest in peace. Seeing her husband's appearance, she knew that Emperor Yu's heart devil was very strong. Dragon Emperor, that old fellow. When Emperor Yu thought of the Dragon Emperor, his heart was filled with anger and powerlessness. Earlier when he was fighting with the Dragon Emperor, his great Emperor's sword had actually pierced into the opponent's body. Unfortunately, when the great Emperor's sword pierced into the opponent's golden battle armor, it was simply unable to leave a trace of damage. Disparity. Even though he had reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, the disparity between him and the Dragon Emperor was still that big. Times so strong. Qin Yu looked at the Dragon Emperor who was bathed in golden light. These were the only 2 words in his mind. That punch earlier appeared to be very ordinary. However, Qin Yu discovered that in the process of the punch, traces of black cracks appeared in the space surrounding the punch. The punch was as heavy as a mountain. The strength of the punch was self-evident. Even the divine armor of a level 8 Immortal Emperor shattered with a single punch. The golden armor on the Dragon Emperor's body instantly turned into a golden liquid. Soon after, the liquid flowed into the Dragon Emperor's body and disappeared. The golden light surrounding the Dragon Emperor also disappeared. Qin Yu, are you all right now? The Dragon Emperor walked over with a smile on his face and said to Qin Yu cordially. I'm fine. Thank you for your help, uncle. Qin Yu said gratefully. It's a small matter. That guy Emperor Yu always thinks that he's amazing. He thinks that he can attack others time and time again. This time I merely taught him a lesson. The Dragon Emperor suddenly asked Qin Yu. Oh, that's right. He destroyed one of your divine armor. I only destroyed one of theirs. Am I being too lenient on them? Chapter 399. Hearing the Dragon Emperor's words, Qin Yu knew very well that the Dragon Emperor wanted to ask for his opinion. The Dragon Emperor wanted him to owe him a favor. Once he received this favor, he must help him. Today, if it wasn't for Uncle, even if I was able to keep my life, I would still have to suffer this loss. For Uncle to be able to ruthlessly punish Emperor Yu for me, I am extremely grateful. If Uncle has any instructions, please feel free to tell me. Qin Yu said tactfully. The Dragon Emperor smiled impressively. He then said, Qin Yu, you ought to know about the matter between Wushu and me, right? Yes, I know a bit. Qin Yu nodded. The Dragon Emperor instructed. Soon when you have Wuming and Wushu meet, I will avoid them. Wuming might have Wushu meet me. I'm worried that Wushu would not agree to it. Thus I hope that you can persuade him at that time. Seeing the Dragon Emperor's expectant expression, Qin Yu felt helpless. Qin Yu, just help a bit. Wuming, who stood to the side, also urged. Qin Yu nodded and said with a smile. It's not that I don't want to help, it's just that I don't have certainty. Rest assured, when the time comes, I will try my best to persuade him. The Dragon Emperor's smile immediately blossomed. In that case, thank you very much. The Dragon Emperor looked at his surroundings, then nodded and said, That's it, I'll leave first. Qin Yu, have Wuming and his brother meet and have a chat. As for whether Wushu is willing to meet me, you can send me a message when the time comes. After he finished saying that, the Dragon Emperor teleported and disappeared. On this grassland that had just experienced a battle, Only Qin Yu and Ao Wuming remained. Big brother Wuming, please wait a moment. I'll go and inform Wushu. After Qin Yu finished saying those words to Ao Wuming, he instantly disappeared into the Zhonglan's realm. Seeing that Qin Yu had disappeared into thin air, Ao Wuming was slightly confused. Could it be that Big Brother is in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion? Otherwise, why would Qin Yu enter it? Even now, Ao Wuming still did not know of the existence of the Zhonglan's realm. Within the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu did not immediately rush to Ao Wushu's residence. Instead, he went to the place where Hou Fei and Shizhan were at. Qin Yu knew that Hou Fei was probably still worried. Why hasn't Big Brother appeared yet? Hou Fei kept looking around, his face filled with anxiety. However, Shizhan, who was beside him, advised, Lord Hou Fei, Lord Qin Yu must be delayed by something. Since Lord Qin Yu was able to let us in, he would definitely be able to come in at any time. Hou Fei knew that what Shizhan said was right, but if he didn't see the person appear, he couldn't feel at ease. Suddenly, a person appeared out of thin air in front of them. It was Qin Yu. Big Brother. The anxiety on Hou Fei's face instantly disappeared, and he walked over in surprise. Big Brother, are you all right? Qin Yu chuckled. Do I look like I'm in trouble? It's just that this time my divine armor was destroyed. Qin Yu felt a bit helpless in his heart. He then smiled and said, Forget about it, as the saying goes, if the old doesn't go, the new won't come. A divine artifact battlesuit. Big Brother, who are those two people? Hou Fei fought with Emperor Yu and them for only a short while before he was absorbed into the Zhonglan's realm by Qin Yu. He did not know that those two people were Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor. It's Emperor Yu and his wife, the Mystic Emperor. Qin Yu's face naturally displayed a cold expression. Qin Yu was already at the end of his patience toward Emperor Yu. This sort of person who wholeheartedly wanted to kill him was a type of person that must be killed. It's that idiot Emperor Yu. A trace of ruthlessness appeared in Hou Fei's eyes. A black stick suddenly appeared in his hand. He waved it violently. Their strength is too strong right now. I hope that he doesn't undergo the divine tribulation too early so that when my strength catches up to his, I can use my black stick to pierce a few holes in his body. Seeing Hou Fei's appearance, Qin Yu was unable to refrain himself from laughing. However, upon recalling the matter with the Dragon Emperor and them, Qin Yu immediately said, Fei, I still have things to take care of. You rest here for a while. I'll come back later. Okay, Big Brother, you can go and do your things. Hou Fei waved his hand and said straightforwardly. Qin Yu nodded and then disappeared again. There were not many people in the Zhonglan's realm. It's just that the space within the Zhonglan's realm was practically boundless. The residence that Ao Wushu chose for himself was different from the others. He was not willing to live in the palace that Qin Yu had built. Instead, he cut down trees and built a wooden house. A wooden house. In front of the house was a cold pond. Currently, Ao Wushu was sitting cross-legged in front of the cold pond. Qin Yu appeared beside him out of thin air. In Qin Yu's perception, the coldness emitted from Ao Wushu's body was even more intense than the cold pond. What are you doing here? Ao Wushu said coldly. Something. Speak. Ao Wushu did not even open his eyes. Wushu, your brother Wuming has come. Right after Qin Yu said those words, Ao Wushu opened his eyes and turned around to look at Qin Yu. Qin Yu, you said that my brother Wuming has come. Is that true? In Ao Wushu's ice-cold eyes, there seemed to be a trace of starlight flickering. Qin Yu nodded. He's right outside. Do you want to see him? Ao Wushu stood up. He took a light breath and then said indifferently. Me out. And here I thought that you still had that indifferent appearance. So you actually still have people that you care about. Qin Yu said jokingly. Ao Wushu's eyelids merely twitched. However, he did not say anything. Soon after, Qin Yu and Ao Wushu disappeared from the Zhonglan's realm. On the grassland of the Yellow Bird Star, Ao Wuming had his hands behind his back and was standing there quietly. Qin Yu and Ao Wushu appeared here out of thin air. Ao Wuming sensed something and turned around. Upon seeing his big brother Ao Wushu, whose appearance was 70% similar to his own, a pleasantly surprised expression appeared on his face. Second brother. Ao Wushu's eyes contained a trace of unconcealable excitement. Big brother. Ao Wuming also walked over. The two brothers gave each other a bear hug. Qin Yu consciously walked far away from the grassland. He then sat down on the grassland. He turned around and looked at Ao Wushu and Ao Wuming, who were far away. The two brothers were chatting very animatedly. At this moment, Ao Wushu did not have the coldness that he had before. On his face was a smile that shattered the coldness. That smile was truly shocking. There was still moisture on the grassland. That moisture brought with it a trace of coldness. However, it caused Qin Yu's mind to become much clearer. Ah! Qin Yu took a deep breath. A trace of a tranquil smile appeared on his face. Not knowing why at this moment, Qin Yu recalled his hometown, the purple mystic star of the mortal realm. On the east hazy mountain of the hidden dragon continent. Qin Yu had once held Xiao He on the summit of the east hazy mountain and looked at the stars that filled the sky. He had also once looked at the stars on the roof of the misty villa. In an instant the stars had changed. Back then, he was still on the summit of a mountain in the mortal realm. Now he had arrived on the yellow bird star of the immortal devil and demon realms bird clan's territory. He had even fought with Emperor Yu on this land. Royal father, big brother, second brother, how are they? Qin Yu looked up to the stars. It was as if he wanted to see the mortal realm through space. In another space, perhaps his royal father, big brother and second brother would also miss him. With the cultivation speed of royal father and the others, it would likely take them several hundred years or even 1,000 years before they could ascend. Qin Yu knew very well that the cultivation speed of the cultivators in the mortal realm was more than 10 times slower than the cultivators in the immortal, devil and demon realm. He smiled indifferently. Qin Yu lay down. His back was against the soft grass. Compared to the purple mystic star of the mortal realm, the number of inhabited planets in the immortal, devil and demon realm was too many. Although there were a lot of people on each planet, there was a lot of land. This caused many places to be very barren. Qin Yu was lying on the ground. However, he was able to sense that it was very quiet. Other than Ao Wushu and Ao Wuming, who were chatting not far away, there was no one else in the several thousand miles radius around him. I wonder where Li Er is right now. Qin Yu was lying on the ground. His gaze was shot toward the outer space. He was looking at the stars in the sky. Uncle Lan had once said that when I completely opened the third layer of the Jianglan's realm, I would be qualified to see Li Er. However, right now, I am unable to even open the second layer. Qin Yu was unceasingly thinking in his mind. Father, brothers, lovers, and even Uncle Lan, who was good to him. One by one, the figures of people appeared in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu calmly closed his eyes. Don't think about it anymore. Don't think about it anymore. When the car reaches the mountain, there will always be a way. For everything one must look forward. Qin Yu's mind was very quiet. Very quiet. His mind was extremely quiet. At this moment, Qin Yu's state was very strange. The figures of his relatives and brothers appeared in his mind. However, his heart was very quiet. It was as if he was not thinking about anything. That kind of indifferent and quiet state caused Qin Yu to feel very comfortable. At this moment, Qin Yu suddenly sensed the endless void. That tranquil cosmic space was also very quiet. Qin Yu did not see that Lu Xing's tear in his soul at all. It was currently emitting rays of green light that were spreading through the entire universe. Unknowingly, Qin Yu's soul was undergoing some changes. At this moment, Qin Yu felt a wave of warmth in his heart. He was not thinking about anything. At this moment, Qin Yu seemed to have fallen asleep. Suddenly, Qin Yu heard the sound of an argument. Qin Yu quivered. What's going on? Once he woke up, The tear of Lu Xing's tear in Qin Yu's soul returned to normal. Qin Yu also disappeared from that mysterious state. What happened to me? Qin Yu wiped the corners of his eyes. There were tears at the corners of his eyes. My soul realm. Qin Yu's face was full of shock. Qin Yu's soul realm had just reached the first level of the heavenly soul realm. However, after a short sleep, it had entered the second level of the heavenly soul realm. Qin Yu was very clear that if he cultivated according to the rules, he would need at least a few hundred years to reach the second level of the heavenly soul realm. Qin Yu did some calculations in his heart. It's only been a while. It hasn't even been an hour. How did I suddenly improve to this stage? Qin Yu was shocked. Could this be an epiphany? Qin Yu suddenly came to a realization. Qin Yu had heard of the concept of sudden enlightenment. Some people did not train very well, but they might enter a special state at a certain moment. Their soul's level would increase in a straight line at a frightening speed. Some people were even able to reach the peak in an instant. Once the epiphany was interrupted, it would be very difficult to enter that state again. What state was I in just now? Qin Yu tried hard to think. However, no matter how hard he thought, it was difficult for him to remember the state he was in just now. He only knew that he did not think about anything at all. He was very comfortable. He even shed tears naturally. Second brother, don't say any more. A voice sounded from afar. Qin Yu turned his head to look. At that moment, Ao Wushu and Ao Wuming were arguing. Qin Yu looked at the two of them helplessly. If it was not for the sound of their argument that broke him out of that state, his soul realm might have reached the third level of the heavenly soul realm in an instant. It was even possible for him to break through the heavenly soul realm and reach the great circle realm. Shaking his head and smiling, Qin Yu walked towards Ao Wushu and Ao Wuming. Epiphany was something that could only be encountered by chance. It was already fortunate that he was able to encounter it once. Since it was interrupted, perhaps the heavens had decided that he could only rely on epiphany to reach the second level of the heavenly soul realm. As for the rest, he still had to rely on himself to slowly cultivate. Big brother, Imperial Father has always regretted his actions all these years. He has always wanted you to forgive him. If he doesn't ask for your forgiveness now, could it be that you're not even willing to see him? Ao Wuming continued to persuade. Don't say any more. Ao Wushu was a little angry. At that moment, Qin Yu walked over. Ao Wushu, no matter what, uncle is still your father. Are you not even allowed to see him? You're not even willing to give your biological father a chance to see him. Qin Yu looked to Ao Wushu. His face was filled with expectation. Ao Wushu looked to his younger brother Ao Wuming and then looked to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, you don't understand. Ao Wushu looked to his younger brother. Second brother, could it be that even you don't understand? Back then I had stayed in the dragon clan for so many years. In all those years, I had always thought of ways to cultivate diligently. However, even though my cultivation speed was able to catch up to yours, Father and the other clansmen had always thought that I, a red dragon, had too little potential. Even if I were to reach level 9 Demon Emperor, I would still not be able to catch up to you, who had reached level 8 Demon Emperor. Beneath contempt, Ao Wushu stared at Ao Wuming. Second brother, could it be that you've forgotten how long I had knelt on the snowy mountain? For an entire 3 years, I had knelt there and begged them to allow me to live in the green crystal star, my only home. But what about them? They thought that I, a red dragon, was not qualified to live there. Even though I was the Dragon Emperor's son, I was still driven out. At that time, what was the Dragon Emperor doing? He did not speak up for me at all. Instead, he also wanted me to leave the green crystal star and go to other planets. The green crystal star generally required high-level divine beasts, super divine beasts and emperor-level experts as well as their family members. The family members here were females and some children. When the children grew up, they would still have to walk their own path. Back then, Ao Wushu had reached level 1 heavenly demon. He was no longer able to continue living under the Dragon Emperor's protection and had to leave the green crystal star. An entire 3 years. Wushu's body was trembling. When I was young, I still had some expectations for the Dragon Emperor. All the way until I knelt on the snowy mountain for 3 years. In those 3 years, I had always had hope for him. But in the end, I had completely lost all hope for him. Ever since I left the snowy mountain, I had said to myself, I, Wushu, am no longer a descendant of the dragon clan. He, Feng, can forget about having me return and acknowledge him as my father. Wushu's eyes were flickering with tears. Chapter 400. Qin Yu was speechless for a moment. A scene appeared in his mind. A young man kneeling on a snowy mountain, begging his father and his clansmen. For 3 whole years, this young man went from hope to despair, and finally decided to leave. What help did Dragon Clan and Feng give me? Those Dragon Clan disciples would only look down on me, despise me. Other than second brother who can chat with me, who else can? There was a trace of hatred in Wushu's eyes. Wuming was also silent for a long time. Finally he sighed and said, Big brother, you know father's people. He has this kind of personality. As the Dragon Emperor, he will definitely do things according to the clan's rules. He will not bend the rules at all. Since you have reached the Sky Demon realm, father will definitely expel you from Green Crystal Star. Wushu laughed. He laughed somewhat crazily. Then he looked at Qin Yu and Wuming and said, When I was young, Feng always had a cold and callous look towards me. I have always had resentment in my heart. Second brother, did you know? The first time I passed the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation, I knew that I had inherited memories. When Wushu said this, Wuming's body shook. Qin Yu was also shocked. That's right, after Wushu passed the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation, he would have inherited memories. Only high-level divine beasts and super-divine beasts had inherited memories. Relying on this, it should be enough to prove that Wushu was not a low-level divine beast red dragon. Second brother, do you still remember when I told father that I had inherited memories? What was his reaction? Wushu looked towards Wuming. Wuming was speechless for a moment. Qin Yu was confused. What kind of reaction would the Dragon Emperor have? A slap. Wushu's face became malevolent. When I excitedly ran in front of Feng and said that I had inherited memories and that I was not a red dragon, Feng fiercely slapped me, causing me to spit out blood. I will always remember Feng's expression at that time, those words. Wushu's entire body trembled slightly. Feng angrily pointed at me and scolded. As the son of the Dragon Emperor, no matter what state you are in, you should not fall to such a state. Inherited memories. Inherited memories are hidden in the depths of the soul. You say that you have inherited memories, but who can test it? Just because you say you have it, you have it. Wushu, if you truly possess the inherited memories, then you are a mutated divine beast. Do you think that it is so easy for mutated divine beasts to appear? Wushu, even if you want to get rid of your current position, unless you are able to cultivate to the emperor level, otherwise, it's best if you don't use these petty tricks. No one will believe you. Wushu's face was filled with bitterness. Second brother, you were beside me at that time, right? You should have heard it very clearly. Wuming opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. That's right. Other than myself, how could anyone else know about the legacy memories? I used some powerful attack methods that originated from the inherited memories, and the other dragons said that it was you who taught me. Wushu laughed loudly. His laughter was bleak. Ever since that slap, I stopped telling Feng that I was a mutated divine beast. I've been working hard to cultivate, trying to prove myself with actual performance. But even when I reached the Sky Demon realm, Feng still treated me like that. I knelt in the snow mountain for 3 whole years, but Feng didn't even look at me. Wushu laughed coldly. He wants to look at me now. Humph, isn't it because he found out that I'm a blood dragon and not a red dragon? If I was really a red dragon, would he still want to see me like this? Silence. Ao Wuming was silent. And Qin Yu was also silent. Oh Wushu. After a long while, Qin Yu spoke. After hearing what you said, I thought of myself. Compared to you, I should be better. Although ever since I was 6 years old, my father wouldn't see me for a year or two. And I didn't even have the chance to be taught a lesson by my father. Because at that time I wasn't suited to cultivate, and wasn't suited to manage the world. Ao Wushu looked towards Qin Yu. I was often alone. I was the same as you, trying my best to use my performance to convince my father. I was unable to cultivate inner strength, so at that time, I trained my body crazily every day. In our mortal realm, there had never been anyone who relied on external strength to enter the innate realm. I succeeded the first one. Qin Yu looked towards Ao Wushu. Oh Wushu, do you know? I used to think that my father didn't love me. Otherwise, why would he not see me for a year or two? It was only later that I understood everything. Ao Wushu, you can't completely deny your father because of what happened back then. No matter what, he is still your biological father, and the blood that flows in your body is your father's. I don't ask you to reconcile with him, but at the very least, give him a chance to let him explain what happened back then. Oh Wushu, don't refuse. I understand your feelings because I had the same experience. I know that deep down in your heart, you also have a trace of expectation. Don't completely deny it, give your father a chance, and at the same time, give yourself a chance. Qin Yu looked at Ao Wushu. His eyes filled with encouragement and expectation. Ao Wushu was silent for a long time. Finally, he slowly nodded. Qin Yu, perhaps what you said is right, but Ao Feng will disappoint you. No, I don't think so. Qin Yu shook his head. Ao Wushu didn't refute, and looked towards Ao Wuming. Second brother, let Ao Feng come over, I want to see how he explains. Okay, big brother. Ao Wuming nodded. At this time, Ao Wuming glanced at Qin Yu gratefully, then spread out his demon awareness. In merely a moment, another person appeared on this grassland, a white-haired old man, Dragon Emperor. Dragon Emperor Ao Feng glanced at Qin Yu gratefully, then walked towards Ao Wushu. Don't walk anymore, just talk over there. Ao Wushu suddenly said. At this time Ao Feng was about 10 meters away from Ao Wushu. Ao Feng also stopped. Wushu. Ao Feng looked at Ao Wushu. Ever since you left the Dragon Clan, this is the second time we have met, right? Ao Wushu only nodded his head indifferently, and didn't reply. Ao Feng nodded his head and said, Wushu, I understand your resentment. I have nothing to say about what you experienced in the Dragon Clan back then. At that time I was indeed a bit too strict and harsh on you. Only strict and harsh. Ao Wushu sneered. Ao Feng sighed. Perhaps you will think that I am too heartless, but when I teach my children, I only know those methods. Even your brother Wushu went against me in the end, and married a woman from outside the clan. As a father, I am indeed a failure. You are indeed a failure, Ao Wushu said coldly. Wushu, did you know? When I found out that you were kept in the 10,000 Beasts Atlas by Immortal Emperor Nai Yong, at that time, I was filled with anger and regret. Ao Feng's eyes were red with anger. I even wanted to kill Nai Yong directly, because the person he locked up was my son. Qin Yu, who was at the side, saw that when Ao Wushu heard my son, the muscles on his face twitched slightly. Ever since that conversation with you, when you didn't even care about my concern, I began to wake up. From that time onwards, my attitude towards your brother Wuming's marriage with a woman from outside the clan also gradually changed. Ao Feng sighed. Ao Wuming was shocked. He didn't know that his father emperor would change because of this matter. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed so. When he first got together with a woman from outside the clan, Ao Feng was so angry that he almost went crazy. He didn't even let Ao Wuming return home. Ever since that time, although Ao Feng didn't approve of this matter, he also didn't oppose it so strongly. He even allowed Ao Wuming to return to the Green Crystal Star. Wushu, I have already reached the level 9 Demon Emperor realm. I don't know when the divine tribulation will come. I don't ask for your forgiveness. I am already satisfied that you are willing to see me this time, Ao Feng said with a light smile. Ao Wushu didn't say anything for a while. After a while, Ao Feng, let me ask you. Ao Wushu stared at Ao Feng. If I was still a red dragon, would you want to see me so much and recognize me as your son? Qin Yu and Ao Wuming also became nervous. From Qin Yu's point of view, the reason why the Dragon Emperor treated him so well in the Crescent Moon Bay was actually because of Ao Wushu. The reason why he defeated Emperor Yu and the others was also the same. To the Dragon Emperor, who was about to ascend, the strength of his son was actually not that important. Even so, he still helped Qin Yu a couple of times. From this, it could be seen how much he cared for Ao Wushu. If it was the me before you were taken into the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, then I would likely not recognize you. However, the me who came to realize later on would definitely recognize you. Wushu, can you give your father a chance? Ao Feng stared at Ao Wushu. Ao Wushu also stared at Ao Feng for a long time. Qin Yu, let me return. Ao Wushu suddenly said to Qin Yu. Qin Yu was slightly stunned. Ao Feng also had a slightly disappointed expression on his face. Big brother. Ao Wuming also spoke. Ao Wushu did not have any reaction. He only looked at Qin Yu. In the end, Qin Yu nodded and directly sent Ao Wushu into the Zhonglan's realm. Right after Ao Wushu was sent into the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu received a mind voice transmission. The Dragon Emperor looked to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, thank you for this. Wuming, let's return. They had rushed all the way from the green crystal star, yet the result was like this. Ao Wuming nodded. Soon after, he also nodded to Qin Yu to bid farewell. However, right when the two of them were about to leave, Qin Yu spoke. Uncle, earlier Wushu sent me a mind voice transmission. He wanted me to pass on a message to you. The Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming looked to Qin Yu at the same time. Their gazes were burning. Qin Yu had a smile on his face. Wushu said that if he were to have the chance to meet you in the divine realm in the future, then it could be considered that you two are fated to be father and son. The Dragon Emperor displayed an ecstatic expression. Thank you, thank you. Even though the Dragon Emperor was a calm person, he still couldn't help but thank Qin Yu twice. Qin Yu also smiled. Qin Yu understood. For Ao Wushu to be like this, with Ao Wushu's temperament, it was indeed very rare. As for whether the father and son would be able to pass the divine tribulation and meet in the vast divine realm, that was truly hard to say. Sending off the Dragon Emperor and Ao Wuming with his eyes, Qin Yu felt very relaxed. Inside a restaurant on the Yellow Bird Star. This restaurant was also a place where one could stay. As for Qin Yu and Ho Fei, they were staying here. After resting for a day in the Yellow Bird Star, Qin Yu and the others were about to set off again. Merely before they set off, they must determine Kurowa's current location. Last time, before Shizhan was able to determine Kurowa's location, he was interrupted by Emperor Yu and the others. Now, Shizhan was able to carefully determine his location. Shizhan, I've already given you the map. Tell us the approximate location of your master. Ho Fei and Qin Yu both looked to Shizhan. Shizhan closed his eyes and sensed Kurowa's approximate location. After a long time, Shizhan opened his eyes and said to Qin Yu and Ho Fei, Lord Qin Yu, Lord Ho Fei, according to my earlier confirmation, my master's current location is in the northern part of the Southern Mountain Starfield, a starfield in the extreme north. Southern Mountain Starfield. The entire interstellar map immediately appeared in Qin Yu's mind. From the Yellow Bird Star to the Southern Mountain Star, it was indeed a straight line northward. Your lordship, when I reach the Southern Mountain Starfield, I ought to be able to determine my master's location even more, said Shizhan respectfully. The further away they were, the more vague the location would be. When they were in the Beast Clan's territory, Shizhan was only able to determine roughly that their master was in the Bird Clan's territory. Qin Yu nodded. Head northward, let's set off. Qin Yu directly took Shizhan into the Zhonglan's realm. Let's set off. I wonder how Mixed Hairbird is doing right now. Ho Fei also became excited. Qin Yu and Ho Fei directly left the Yellow Bird Star and headed northward toward the Southern Mountain Starfield at an extremely fast speed. Qin Yu and Ho Fei did not stop at all. Especially when they thought about how they were about to meet Xiao He, the two of them became even more excited. In merely 2 days, without stopping to rest, Qin Yu and Ho Fei continuously changed interstellar conveying arrays. From the Yellow Bird Star at the edge of the Bird Clan's territory, they arrived at a star field located in the northwest corner of the Bird Clan's territory, the South Mountain Starfield. The Southern Mountain Starfield was the northernmost star field in the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. If one were to continue northward from the Southern Mountain Starfield, one would arrive at the location where the cosmic fragmentary golden stream and a large amount of frightening energies gathered. If one were to pass through this frightening area, one would arrive at the extreme north of the Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. Right after arriving at the Southern Mountain Starfield, Qin Yu and Ho Fei immediately flew to a barren mountainous area. Big brother, quickly bring that Shizhan out. Ho Fei urged. I know, I am also anxious to meet Xiao He, Qin Yu said with a smile. Immediately after, that Shizhan appeared before the two of them. Qin Yu immediately said, Shizhan, we've already arrived at the Southern Mountain Starfield. You should properly investigate which galaxy your master is currently in and which region of this galaxy he's roughly in. Chapter 401. Yes, my lords, please wait a moment. At this moment, Shizhan was extremely straightforward. He directly closed his eyes and began to carefully sense Kuroa's current location. As for Qin Yu and Ho Fei, they were both staring at Shizhan, waiting for an answer. He opened his eyes. Shizhan looked to Qin Yu and Ho Fei. He said respectfully, My lords, according to my senses, Master is currently in the northern region of the South Mountain Starfield's Ice Thread Galaxy. As for which planet it is, as long as my lords arrive at the northern region of the Ice Thread Galaxy and let me inspect it again, we should be able to determine it. Qin Yu and Ho Fei both had expressions of joy on their faces. Good, there's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately, Qin Yu ordered. Soon after, he had Shizhan enter the Zhonglan's realm again. As for Qin Yu and Ho Fei, they began to rapidly rush toward the Ice Thread Galaxy of the South Mountain Starfield. With their speed, after over 10 continuous teleportation, they arrived at a northern region planet of the Ice Thread Galaxy. On this planet, Qin Yu once again had Shizhan come out to investigate. Big brother. Ho Fei looked to Qin Yu. This South Mountain Starfield was originally the northernmost starfield of the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. The Ice Thread Galaxy is a star system in the middle northern region of the South Mountain Starfield. And now, Mixed Hairbird is actually still in the northern region of the Ice Thread Galaxy. How did this Mixed Hairbird come here? Qin Yu also smiled. Who knew why Xiao He came here? I've found it. Shizhan opened his eyes and looked to Qin Yu and Ho Fei. According to my investigation, I am certain that Master is definitely on a planet not far from here, the Jade Shepherd Star. Qin Yu and Ho Fei glanced at each other and smiled. Let's go, Qin Yu excitedly ordered. In the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon realm, among the planets that were closest to the northernmost region of the Immortal, Devil and Demon realm, the Jade Shepherd Star was ranked in the top 100. In the entire South Mountain Starfield, there were only 2 planets that were located to the north of the South Mountain Starfield. In the eastern region of the Bird Clan's territory, the Dark Star realm, there was another starfield that was slightly closer to the northernmost region of the Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. The Jade Shepherd Star was a very ordinary planet, ordinary to the extreme. Here the 2 families were in control of the entire planet. The strongest expert of these 2 families was only a 5th-grade demon king. A 5th-grade demon king could only dominate a small planet like this. Similarly, the Jade Shepherd Star also had 2 big cities. One of the cities was Wood Moon City. There was a mansion in Wood Moon City called the Star Spiritual Mansion. Although the Star Spiritual Palace looked like an ordinary palace, the two great clans of the Jade Shepherd Star did not dare to provoke it because the masters of the Star Spiritual Palace, a couple, were too strong. The male host was Mr. Lu Xing mistress, Madame Ling Jian. There were no maids in the mansion, only the couple. In the back garden of the mansion, Mr. Lu Xing and Madame Ling Jian were both here. Mr. Lu Xing and Madame Ling Jian both liked the color white, so they were both dressed in white. A black long spear. Mr. Lu Xing was holding this black long spear with one hand. He slowly used the tip of the spear to gently draw on the sand in the corner of the garden. The tip of the spear drew one image after another on the sand, which was then replaced by another image in a moment. This Mr. Lu Xing's eyes were as bright and lively as the stars. However, his slightly closed lips made people feel his tenacity and coldness. There was also a scar on the left side of his face. With Mr. Lu Xing's strength, of course, he could get rid of the scar. However, Mr. Lu Xing did not. He still kept it. Over and over again, Mr. Lu Xing used the long spear very slowly. However, the flowers and fallen leaves around Mr. Lu Xing couldn't help but move up and down. Following the movements of Mr. Lu Xing's long spear, they moved up and down according to a special frequency. Madame Ling Jian, who was also dressed in white, was watching Mr. Lu Xing from the side. She was quietly watching, looking at Mr. Lu Xing's face, looking at his height and figure. He seemed to be a 16 or 17-year-old youth. As for Madame Ling Jian, if one carefully looked at Madame Ling Jian's appearance, she also seemed to be a 16 or 17-year-old girl. However, the faint aura on her body showed that she was also an expert. The flowers and plants stopped moving up and down, returning to their upright state. It turned out that at this moment, Mr. Lu Xing had already put away the black long spear. This Mr. Lu Xing stood straight like a long spear. How long have we been on this Jade Shepherd Star? Mr. Lu Xing raised his head and asked. Two strands of long hair, one on the left and one on the right, blocked the edges of Mr. Lu Xing's face. Only half of his eyes could be seen. Madame Ling Jian nodded and said, "Almost 3 years. 3 years, 3 years. This should be the place that we've been staying at for the longest time ever since we were chased," Mr. Lu Xing said with a light smile. However, even though he was smiling, he still gave off a chilling feeling. Madame Ling Jian walked over and pulled Mr. Lu Xing's left arm. "That's right. Big brother Yu, should we change locations?" "That's right, we should change locations." Mr. Lu Xing nodded. Madame Ling Jian looked at Mr. Lu Xing expectantly and said, "Big brother Yu, can we stay here for a while longer? They did not discover us. This means that we've hidden ourselves well enough this time. Escaping, those days were too tiring." Mr. Lu Xing held Madame Ling Jian tightly in his bosom with one hand. "Linger, it's all my fault. Because of me, your family was implicated. Your entire clan died because of me. Even your big sister was captured. Big brother Yu, it's not your fault. Those people were unreasonable. Ever since you ascended, you've never left my hometown. How did you offend them? Those people wanted to kill you because they were unreasonable." Madame Ling Jian hugged Mr. Lu Xing tightly with both hands. Mr. Lu Xing raised his head. A tear rolled down from the corner of his eye. Mr. Lu Xing and Madame Ling Jian hugged each other like that. Suddenly, Mr. Lu Xing's expression changed. With a flip of his hand, a spear appeared in his palm. "Linger experts have come." With a flip of her hand, a sword also appeared in Madame Ling Jian's hand. Xiaohei, you're truly good at escaping. You actually ran to this corner. However, this is also good. This time, I'll be able to render a great service to His Majesty." Following the loud laughter, several tens of silhouettes rapidly flew over from the horizon. Soon after, they arrived in the sky above the Star Spiritual Palace. This Mr. Lu Xing, Madame Ling Jian addressed him as Big Brother Yu. However, these people who were chasing after him addressed him as Xiao Hei. Seemed to be quite contradictory. 3 Emperor-level experts. Mr. Lu Xing's eyes trembled. Among these several tens of silhouettes, the three leading men all wore golden battlegowns. The several tens of people behind them all wore black gowns. Xiaohei, not bad. In a short 3 years, you actually managed to reach level 1 Demon Emperor from level 9 Demon King. If we were to truly count, it seems like you've only ascended to the immortal devil and demon realm 300 years ago. You're truly our demon realm's genius demon emperor. The leading golden-clothed youth said with a smile. Unfortunately, this time you're being led by me, a level 4 demon emperor. These two brothers of mine are also level 2 demon emperors. You're definitely going to die. Mr. Lu Xing protected his wife behind him. He said via voice transmission. Ling, in a while you run away first. I'll chase after you in a while. Big brother you, will we still be able to escape this time? Madame Ling Jian was in a bit of despair. Big brother you, I won't run away. If we're going to die, then we'll die together. Mr. Lu Xing tightly clenched his teeth. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. You all, why are you chasing after me? Mr. Lu Xing said while suppressing his anger. The leading golden-clothed youth lightly smiled and said, why are we chasing after you? Who knows the reason? This is an order given by His Majesty himself. He said that we must kill you at all costs. His Majesty's order. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, there are not many people who would dare to go against it. Mr. Lu Xing's eyes that were covered by his hair displayed an angry radiance. Peng Demon Emperor, right? Ever since I ascended to the immortal realm, I've never killed a single person. I've only stayed in the Bai family. However, you've exterminated the entire Bai family and even wanted to chase after me. How exactly did I offend you all? Even if I were to die, you must still tell me the reason. The golden-clothed youth smiled and said, I did want to tell you. Unfortunately, even I don't know the reason. How could I tell you? Who knows? Said Mr. Lu Xing, His Majesty knows. I believe those lords beside His Majesty also know. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to investigate. The golden-clothed youth waved his hand and said, well then, I won't waste any more time with you. Hey brothers, let's go. Wait a moment. Lady Ling Jian suddenly spoke to stop them. The golden-clothed youth waved his hand to stop his subordinates. He then looked to Lady Ling Jian with a teasing smile. Little Bai Ling, what do you want to say? Is my big sister still okay? You all didn't do anything to her, right? Bai Ling. This Lady Ling Jian's real name was Bai Ling. The so-called Lady Ling Jian was merely a fake name on the Jade Shepherd star. The golden-clothed youth started to laugh. You're talking about your big sister. To be honest, your big sister was originally unable to escape death. However, who knew what kind of dog's hit luck your big sister had? Our young master Zhong Ju actually took a fancy to your big sister. Your big sister's little life could be considered to have been saved. Zhong Ju. Mr. Lu Xing's eyes narrowed. A cold light was emitted from his eyes. Was it Zhong Ju who told the Pang Demon Emperor that I'm in the Bai family? That bastard. Shut up, young master Zhong Ju is not someone that you can comment on. The golden-clothed youth's expression turned cold. This demon emperor does not have the time to waste with you. Brothers, attack. He waved his hand. The three golden-clothed men rushed toward Mr. Lu Xing at almost the same time. Yo! A resounding bird cry sounded from Mr. Lu Xing's throat. Sharp black feathers appeared on the surface of Mr. Lu Xing's body. Those feathers were like pieces of steel as they flickered with a metallic luster. One could tell how hard they were without even trying. Brothers, be careful. This Xiaohei has entered his battle form, said the golden-clothed youth via voice transmission. Mr. Lu Xing held a black spear in his hand. In between his brows was a black feather scale. His long hair covered his eyes. However, it was unable to cover the bloodthirsty radiance and frantic battle intent within his eyes. His body shot out like lightning. His spear was like a long dragon. It gave rise to countless spear silhouettes. In an instant, it stopped the three great demon emperors. Kill! The three demon emperors did not hold back and began to frantically attack Mr. Lu Xing. As for the other several tens of black-clothed men, they rushed toward Bai Ling. A level 4 demon emperor and 2 level 2 demon emperors surrounded a level 1 demon emperor. Clang! A long sword pierced the black-scaled armor and actually gave rise to the sound of metal clashing. The one who pierced this sword was a level 2 demon emperor. That golden-clothed youth immediately shouted via voice transmission. "You idiot! Didn't you hear that this Xiao Hei's protective armor is extremely hard? It's almost as hard as a top-quality immortal artifact. The two of you use your full strength. If you don't use your full strength, then you're dreaming." Those two demon emperors immediately replied. Sword energy crisscrossed. Spear silhouettes soared into the sky. Mr. Lu Xing's long hair fluttered in the wind. The scar on the left side of his face appeared even more sinister. His deep red eyes were emitting hysterical madness. "Big brother you!" A mournful scream was heard. At this moment, Bai Ling was ruthlessly punched in the back by a black-clothed man. Her entire body was sent flying and blood filled the sky. Bai Ling had actually already reached level 9 Demon King. Merely, among those several tens of black-clothed men, there were 5 level 9 Demon Kings. The rest were all level 8 Demon Kings. Gram. Mr. Lu Xing had gone crazy. He shook his spear and fiercely knocked back 2 level 2 Demon Emperors. Ignoring the golden-clothed youth's attack, he rapidly rushed toward Bai Ling Dai. The golden-clothed youth also thrust out his spear. However, just as this spear was about to pierce Mr. Lu Xing's body strangely shifted 20 centimeters downward to the right as if he had teleported. The spear that should have pierced through the abdomen had instead pierced through the chest. Teleportation movement technique. The golden-clothed youth's expression changed. Isn't this a movement technique unique to the super divine beasts of the Pang clan? After receiving this spear attack head-on, Mr. Lu Xing's spear became even more frenzied. The spear's silhouette instantly turned into several tens of spear shadows that pierced through the 6 people, killing the 6 demon kings on the spot. Ling. Mr. Lu Xing immediately hugged Bai Ling. "It's all right, it's not a vital point." Bai Ling tried her best to squeeze out a smile. At this moment, the 3 golden-clothed youth had already surrounded Mr. Lu Xing. "Xiao Hei, judging by your strength, you're most likely a mutated divine beast of the Eagle clan, right? Mutated divine beasts are quite rare. You actually also know the teleportation movement technique from earlier. Unfortunately, you're still going to die." Mr. Lu Xing looked at his surroundings. Earlier he had used all of his techniques. However, the golden-clothed youth was actually a high-level divine beast and a level 4 demon emperor. The gap between them was truly enormous. "Big brother monkey, it seems that we won't have the chance to meet again." Mr. Lu Xing had tears in his eyes. "Linger, you're right. If we're going to die, let's die together." Mr. Lu Xing hugged Bai Ling tightly. Then, he fiercely looked at the 3 demon emperors surrounding them. "However, even if we die, we'll drag a few of you down with us." "Xiaohei." Mixed hair bird. 2 familiar voices suddenly rang out. Mr. Lu Xing's entire body shook violently, as if he was struck by lightning. He raised his head and looked towards the sky. Those 2 familiar silhouettes were shooting towards him at an extremely fast speed. "Big brother monkey." Mr. Lu Xing's entire body felt as if an electric current was flowing through it. Tears streamed down his face. Chapter 402. How many years has it been? In the pursuit, Kuro has hidden his identity time and time again, using fake names. And those fake names were mostly related to the experiences he had with Chinyu back then. Using those fake names, Kuro entrusted his feelings to his brother. This time his fake name was Mr. Lu Xing. What he wanted the most was to reunite with his brother. And just as he was about to lose all hope, his big brother and second brother appeared. At this moment, Kuro felt a warm current surging through his whole body. The power of his whole body rose to the peak all of a sudden. "Big brother monkey, wait for me." The spear in Kuro's hand shook. His body turned into a roaming dragon, leaving behind a vague afterimage. He charged toward a level 2 demon emperor on the left. And the two figures in the sky, one charged toward a level 4 demon emperor, and the other charged toward a level 2 demon emperor. The 3 demon emperors wearing golden clothes respectively faced their respective opponents. Ho Fei grimaced in pain as if he had gone mad. His red eyes appeared so terrifying. A black long stick ruthlessly smashed onto that level 2 demon emperor's long sword. But immediately after, Ho Fei's long stick, as if borrowing the force, smashed onto that level 2 demon emperor's long sword again. One stick after another. Heaven startling 36 stick strike strongest special move. 36 overlapping waves. Even Qin Yu could not block this special move. Under Ho Fei's crazy attacks, that best-grade immortal longsword was only able to block 3 stick strikes before it was smashed into pieces. The following 33 stick strikes were not completed. Merely 3 more stick strikes landed on that level 2 demon emperor's body. In fact, 1 stick strike was enough to kill that person. But Ho Fei's speed was too fast. After 3 stick strikes, bang! Blood splattered. Minced flesh and broken bones flew all over the ground. Yuanying had already been shattered by the stick energy. The black long spear was called Cloud-Piercing Spear. 1 spear turned into 9 spear shadows. The other level 2 demon emperor tried his best to open his eyes wide, as if he wanted to see the spear shadows clearly. By the time he could see clearly, the Cloud-Piercing Spear had already pierced through his abdomen. Yuanying was directly pierced through. 1 finger, Lu Xing's most powerful finger technique. It was a technique unique to those who had cultivated the stellar transformations to the black hole realm. Sky-piercing finger. Bang! A sharp and clear sound was heard. A golden blur was shot from the level 4 demon emperor's eyes. Soon after, Qin Yu's figure descended from the sky. As for that level 4 demon emperor, he was standing there blankly. There was a hole in his forehead. Under Qin Yu's strongest attack, Sky-Piercing Finger, the level 4 demon emperor died on the spot. He didn't even have the ability to fight back. The 3 brothers attacked almost at the same time. The 3 demon thearchs were killed in one move. The 3 brothers stood upright and looked at each other, their eyes filled with excitement. The dozens of black-robed men were horrified to find that their 3 demonic emperors had been killed in an instant. They were stunned for a moment before they began to flee frantically, shouting, "Run! Run!" As they shouted, they ran in different directions. They knew that if they ran in one direction, they would be caught in one fell swoop. Qin Yu looked at this group of black-robed men. His gaze turned cold. He said indifferently, "Leave none alive." Several hundred silhouettes appeared out of thin air. In an instant, they surrounded the several tens of black-robed men. In merely a blink of an eye, the several tens of black-robed men were all killed. Their blood dyed the ground red. As for those several hundred silhouettes, they all kneeled down on one knee respectfully. "Master." The person leading them was the level 5 demon emperor Yun Ming. 4 demon emperors led level 9, 8 and 7 demon kings to attack at the same time. How could those several tens of black-robed men not die? With an intention from Qin Yu, this group of black-robed men were all sucked into the Jianglan's realm. Qin Yu had already placed all of the demon beasts in the 10,000 Beasts Atlas into the Jianglan's realm. Merely, the heavenly demon level and demon king level spiritual beasts were in 2 different places. These 2 places were separated by Qin Yu. Seeing that a large group of black-robed men had suddenly appeared and killed several tens of demon kings, Kuro and Bai Ling were both slightly startled. Furthermore, the sudden disappearance of the black-robed men had caused the space to fluctuate. In this sort of situation, teleportation was very dangerous. Although those subordinate strength could not be considered to be strong, they were still very effective against a group of black-robed men. If I were to kill several tens of black-robed men myself, I reckon that I would also not be able to kill them so quickly. Qin Yu was very satisfied in his heart. Big brother. Kuro looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu turned around and stared at Xiao Hei. His eyes were flickering with excitement. Xiao Hei, I've finally found you. Kuro nodded his head heavily. Tears were flickering in his eyes. Mixed hair bird. Ho Fei walked over and suddenly patted Kuro's shoulder. I couldn't tell. Wearing white clothes, you're quite fragrant. It's a pity that your strength is only at the level 1 Demon Emperor level. Although your strength was slightly above my expectations, compared to mine there's still quite a gap. Ho Fei had a trace of complacency on his face. Monkey. Kuro did not mind. He only looked at Ho Fei with an excited expression. Qin Yu looked at Bai Ling, who was at the side. Immediately after, he smiled at Kuro and said, Hey, why aren't you introducing this lady to us? Kuro's face blushed. Immediately after, he walked towards Bai Ling. Seeing this scene, Qin Yu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Compared to the mortal realm, Xiao Hei has also changed a lot. At the very least, he's not as cold as before. Even his clothes are no longer as black as before. Ling, let me introduce them to you. Kuro pulled Bai Ling's hand. Bai Ling's face was still slightly pale. She leaned against Kuro's body. However, her quick-witted eyes were still curiously looking at Qin Yu and Ho Fei. Kuro said softly, Ling, these two are the big brother and second brother that I often tell you about. This is Monkey, my second brother. Kuro pointed at Ho Fei. Bai Ling immediately said obediently, Second brother. Hearing this, Ho Fei was unable to contain his joy. He nodded his head repeatedly. Kuro then looked at Qin Yu and said, Ling, this is the big brother that I often talk about. Big brother and I grew up together. Of course, although big brother is a human, he is still someone that I admire the most. Big brother. Bai Ling opened her eyes wide and looked at Qin Yu. Hearing how Bai Ling addressed him, Qin Yu guessed the relationship between the two. Big brother Monkey. Kuro's delicate and pretty face slightly reddened. This is the girl that I fell in love with after ascending to the immortal, devil and demon realm. Her name is Bai Ling. She is now my wife. Wow, wife, Ho Fei said. He even looked at Kuro up and down with a strange gaze. Mixed hair bird, I didn't expect that in such a short time, you would already have a wife. Furthermore, it's such an obedient Miss Bai Ling. I really didn't know that Miss Bai Ling would fall in love with an emotionless ice block like you. Miss Bai Ling, tell me, did Mixed Hair Bird force you? If you tell me, even though he and I are brothers, I can still place righteousness before family. As he said that, Ho Fei even waved his black stick twice. No, I did it willingly. After hurriedly saying that, Bai Ling's face reddened. Immediately, Qin Yu, Ho Fei and even Kuro started laughing. Enough, Fei. Qin Yu spoke. Xiao Hei, us three brothers have not seen each other for so many years. It's time for us to have a good chat. Merely this place is not very safe. Perhaps the enemies will come again. It's not too late for us to talk after we reach a safe place. Kuro and Bai Ling's expressions immediately changed. Kuro said solemnly, What Big Brother said is right. Let's quickly leave this place. But where are we going? Bai Ling asked in confusion. You all do not resist. I'll bring you all to a place. Qin Yu said with a smile. Kuro guessed. Big Brother, is it the Qingyu Immortal Mansion? In the mortal realm, Qin Yu had used the Qingyu Immortal Mansion several times. Hearing Kuro's question, Qin Yu merely smiled mysteriously and shook his head. Ignoring Kuro's confusion, Qin Yu directly brought them into the Jianglan's realm. As for the Jianglan's realm, it turned into a grain of sand and assimilated into the ground of the Star Spiritual Mansion. Qin Yu believed that, even if the enemies were to send people over again, they would not be able to find them. The safety of the Zhonglan's realm was without a doubt. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Kuro and Bai Ling looked at their surroundings in shock. They were puzzled as to where exactly this boundless world was. Mixed hair bird, are you stupid? This is the final treasure that Big Brother obtained in the Ni Yang's realm. It was given to him by Uncle Lon. Its name is the Zhonglan's realm. Ho Fei said complacently. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Big Brother is a god. He can change anything he wants. Qin Yu nodded cooperatively. Xiao Hei, do you still remember the Misty Villa? After he finished saying that, the ground in front of Qin Yu started to change. An enormous Misty Villa appeared out of thin air. Before Kuro and Bai Ling's astonishment and disbelief, everything about the Misty Villa appeared. Big Brother, this is. Kuro was truly shocked. This is the Zhonglan's realm. A voice sounded from the side. A man with a build similar to Kuro's but with a much more profound gaze walked over. It was Wu Lan. Wu Lan smiled and said, although the Zhonglan's realm cannot be considered as a true realm, the difference is not that great. This Wu Lan's residence was right beside Qin Yu's residence. After that, he went to the side and quietly drank tea. Qin Yu lightly smiled and said, this Zhonglan's realm has a total of 3 layers. However, with my current strength, I am only able to open the first layer. However, in merely the first layer, the concentration of elemental spirit energy is 10 times that of the outside world. The ratio of the layers is also different. 10 years inside the Zhonglan's realm is only a single year outside. 10 years inside the Zhonglan's realm is only a single year outside. Bai Ling blurted out in shock. That's right. Not only that, the defense of this Zhonglan's realm is extremely powerful. Among the attacks that I know of, there has yet to be anything capable of breaking through the Zhonglan's realm. Qin Yu said confidently. Even the combined attacks of Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor were unable to affect the Zhonglan's realm in the slightest. One could imagine how powerful the Zhonglan's realm was. Speaking of this, I must bring up the matter of Emperor Yu trying to kill me back then. Right after Qin Yu said that, Ho Fei excitedly interrupted. Mixed hair bird, let me tell you. Back then, Big Brother had just ascended to the immortal devil and demon realm and arrived at the Amber Moonstar. Ho Fei talked about the Battle of the Amber Moonstar, the Battle of the Blue Flame Star, the Battle of the Hidden Emperor Star, the Battle of the Blue Snow Star, the refinement of the Reef Yellow Star, the killing of the 26 immortal emperors and so on. Finally, he talked about the sneak attack on Qin Yu on the Yellow Bird Star. After talking about this matter, they took close to half a day. Kuro and Bai Ling listened in shock. Only after a long time did Kuro look to Qin Yu. Big Brother, never would I have expected that you've also had such a hard time all these years. Your life is not much better than mine. Xiao Hei, talk about yourself. What's going on with you? Why are you being chased and killed? Exactly who is it that wants to kill you? Qin Yu asked in confusion. Regarding this matter, Qin Yu had been puzzled the entire time. According to his deduction, there shouldn't be anyone that would want to kill Xiao Hei. However, 3 demon emperors had appeared earlier. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, there weren't many people that could send out 3 great demon emperors to kill someone. Kuro and Bai Ling glanced at each other. Kuro sighed and said, speaking of this matter, even I feel extremely sullen. After I ascended to the immortal devil and demon realm, the most I did was to wander around the galaxy that I ascended to. I did not provoke anyone at all. However, even though you didn't provoke anyone, others came to deal with you. Calamity fell from the sky. The Bai family that I was in were all killed. Only Linger and I managed to escape. Linger's older sister was also captured. Calamity fell from the sky. Qin Yu and Ho Fei both frowned. How could such a thing happen? A cold light flashed through Kuro's eyes. However, if my guess is correct, this calamity was brought to me by Zhongju. Zhongju. Qin Yu looked at Kuro. Xiao Hei, this Zhongju's relationship with us is pretty good. He had also helped us in the mortal realm. Furthermore, he had also received benefits from Uncle Lon. He shouldn't treat you like this. Qin Yu didn't believe that Zhongju would deal with Kuro. Kuro sneered. Big brother, after I ascended to the immortal devil and demon realm, I stayed in the Bai family for over 100 years. No one came to provoke me. Later on I happened to meet Zhongju. That time I was very happy and chatted with him for a long time. However, 3 months after I met him, a massacre befell the Bai family. Kuro's body slightly trembled. I don't know many people in the immortal devil and demon realm. I only know those good brothers and friends of the Bai family, as well as Ling Er and her sisters. However, in that massacre practically all of those friends died. Big brother, if it wasn't Zhongju, then who could it be? Hearing Kuro saying it like this, Qin Yu had no choice but to admit it. This matter really seemed to be related to Zhongju. Kuro continued. Furthermore, later on, I also came to know that the person who chased after me was the emperor of the entire bird clan. Peng Demon Emperor. Why would the Grand Peng Demon Emperor want to kill me? I'm merely a nobody that ascended from the mortal realm. Other than Zhongju, the super divine beast golden-winged great Peng bird, who else would want the Peng Demon Emperor to chase after me? Why would Zhongju want to kill you? Qin Yu asked in confusion. At this time, Qin Yu had no choice but to admit that even if it wasn't Zhongju, it was likely related to him. How would I know? Kuro shook his head. Bai Ling, who stood to the side, suddenly spoke. If you insist on a reason, then I've thought of one. I reckon it's because of Big Brother Yu's identity. Variation Divine Beast. Furthermore, he ought to be a variation Super Divine Beast. That Zhongju feared that Big Brother Yu would threaten him in the future. Qin Yu was puzzled in his heart. According to his understanding of Zhongju, Zhongju ought to be a relatively upright person. Even if he knew that Xiao He would threaten him, Zhongju would likely still compete fairly and disdain to use such a despicable method. However, if it wasn't Zhongju, then why would the Pang Demon Emperor chase after Kuro? Hey Bai Ling, you said earlier that the mixed hairbird was a variation super divine beast. How are you so certain? Ho Fei's voice suddenly sounded. Chapter 403. Qin Yu also looked over what level Xiao He was. Qin Yu was unable to determine clearly in his heart. However, the attack power that Xiao He had displayed was indeed very strong. It was very possible to say that he was a variant super divine beast. Bai Ling nodded and said confidently, back then when Big Brother Yu was being hunted, there was once when he was being chased by more than 10 people. These people were all level 8 demon kings. At that time, Big Brother Yu was only a level 7 demon king. However, he managed to kill all of them by himself. This doesn't count. Ho Fei waved his hand and retorted. With Mixed Hairbird's movement technique, even if there were more than 10 people chasing after him, he would only be able to face one. Does the battle just now count? Bai Ling asked. This should count. Qin Yu nodded and smiled. Of those 3 great demon emperors earlier, one was a level 4 demon emperor and the other 2 were level 2 demon emperors. That level 4 demon emperor was a high-level divine beast. Xiao He was able to persist for such a long time under the joint attack of the 3 of them. Especially the last spear strike that killed the level 2 demon emperor mid-level divine beast. It does indeed have the strength of a super divine beast. Qin Yu's deduction was very reasonable. If Kuro was a high-level divine beast, then a high-level divine beast of a level 1 demon emperor would be comparable to a mid-level divine beast of a level 2 demon emperor. Even if a level 1 demon emperor's high-level divine beast could kill them, it would not be as easy as Kuro. Kuro smiled indifferently. As a mutant divine beast, I can't even determine my own rank. Forget it, there's no point in exploring this. The 3 brothers and Bai Ling sat cross-legged by the lake. After talking for a long time, they finally enjoyed themselves. Big brother, what should we do next? Ho Fei suddenly asked. Qin Yu pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, according to what Uncle Lon told me, in order to see Li Er, I must completely open the Jianglan's realm. However, I have only opened the first layer of the Jiang Lan's realm. I am still very far away from Uncle Lan's request. Now that I've seen all of you, I'm relieved. I have decided to quietly train in the Jiang Lan's realm until I am able to open the third layer space of the Jiang Lan's realm. You've been cultivating here all this time. Kuro frowned. I do not care. I have already memorized all of the 6 stick techniques from the Forbidden Area. Although the comprehension speed in the Jiang Lan's realm is not as fast as in the Forbidden Area, but 10 years in here is only a year in the outside world. It's about the same. Furthermore, I can also find someone to be my sparring partner. Ho Fei said in an unconcerned manner. Xiaohei, what's wrong with you? Qin Yu saw that Kuro seemed to have something on his mind. Kuro and Bai Ling took a glance at each other. Finally, it was Bai Ling who spoke. Big brother, you and I have always been worried about my big sister. My big sister was captured by the Pang Demon Emperor. Although we've heard from others that she's with Zhongju, we were still worried the entire time. Ho Fei glared. You couple shouldn't be hot-headed. Zhongju is a super divine beast, the golden-winged Great Pang, and lives in the Bird Clan's imperial city. It's right next to the Pang Demon Emperor's imperial palace. Could it be that you want to go there? The Pang Demon Emperor's strength is on par with the Dragon Emperor. Even a level 9 immortal emperor would not be a match for him. At this moment, Qin Yu recalled the scene where the Dragon Emperor defeated Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor with a single punch. The Pang Demon Emperor was on the same level as the Dragon Emperor. Even if the Blood Dragon Ao Wuxi were to fight against him, he would still be far from being a match for him. Furthermore, as far as I know, the Pang Demon Emperor also has 3 great demon emperors under him. Ho Fei actually knew a lot about these things. Mixed Hairbird, you ought to know that the Bird Clan alone is comparable to the immortal realm. Their strength is not as simple as you imagine it to be. If you want to save her big sister, it's impossible. Ho Fei did not have the slightest bit of hope. I also understand that. Kuroa's brows were deeply creased. However, am I able to let big sister be in the hands of the enemy forever? Ho Fei merely shook his head helplessly. Qin Yu, who had been silent for a long time, patted Kuroa's shoulder and said, Xiaohei, I understand your and Bai Ling's frame of mind. However, you ought to also know that Ho Fei and I were already in a bit of danger when facing Emperor Yu. If we were to face the Pang Demon Emperor, we would not have the slightest bit of hope. Kuro nodded. Qin Yu continued. Of course, I'm not telling you to give up. It ought to have been a long time since the Bai clan was exterminated. It's been over 100 years. Kuro replied. It's already been 100 years. Qin Yu smiled and said, if big sister Bai Ling had died, then she would have died long ago. If she hadn't died, then there shouldn't be a need to worry about 100 or 200 years. However, 100 or 200 years is very important to us. Xiaohei, this is the Jiang Lan's realm. 100 or 200 years in the outside world would be 1,000 or 2,000 years in the Jiang Lan's realm. Say, 1,000 or 2,000 years, what sort of level would we be able to reach? Kuro and Ho Fei's eyes shined. They had only ascended for close to 300 years. However, in this short period of time they had already reached the emperor level. If they were to be given another 1,000 or 2,000 years, what sort of level would they be able to reach? Just thinking about it was enough to make one excited. Thus, I believe that if we were to train here for 1,000 or 2,000 years, at that time, we 3 brothers would all be powerful. Even if we cannot defeat that Pang Demon Emperor, we would still be able to take care of his subordinates. Then, by relying on this Jiang Lan's realm, we would be qualified to go to the Bird Clan's imperial city. And with our current strength, I reckon that if a level 7 or 8 demon emperor were to appear in the imperial city, we would all be in danger. Qin Yu said with a smile. Even with the current Qin Yu's strength, he would only be able to take care of level 5 or 6 demon emperors. If another 1,000 or 2,000 years were to pass, what sort of level would Qin Yu reach? Even Qin Yu himself did not dare to be certain. Kuro and Bai Ling glanced at each other. They communicated with their eyes. Finally, Kuro turned around and looked to Chinyu. He smiled and said loudly, "Good, let's do as Big Brother says. We'll now painstakingly train in seclusion. After our strength increases greatly, we'll go and charge into the Bird Clan's imperial city." "Course I agree," Ho Fei said while laughing. Looking at Kuro and Ho Fei, Chinyu smiled. He then said loudly, "From tomorrow onwards, we'll begin our seclusion training. Asterisk 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 asterisk." Inside the Jianglan's realm, 2 more courtyards had appeared beside Qin Yu's residence. They were respectively Ho Fei's, Kuro's and Bai Ling's residences. Ho Fei had increased his comprehension through battle. However, Qin Yu did not expect that Xiao He had also increased his comprehension through battle. During the days when he was being chased, Kuro's comprehension had increased unceasingly through battle. Currently, Ho Fei would fight Xiao He whenever he was free. Ho Fei had merely suppressed his cultivation to level 1 Demon Emperor. As for Qin Yu, he was in seclusion training. Qin Yu's seclusion training room. Qin Yu was quietly sitting cross-legged. No one knew how long Qin Yu would sit there for. Inside his Dantian space. Within his boundless Dantian space was a black hole. That black hole led to another bizarre flower paste space. At this moment, Qin Yu's consciousness was at the other end of the black hole. After merely absorbing for half a day, I've already reached the peak of the late-stage black hole realm. What should I do now? Qin Yu looked to the 2 to 3 meter square space that belonged to him in the flower paste space. His heart was filled with helplessness. Within that 2 to 3 meter space, there was an enormous amount of golden black hole energy. It far surpassed the energy of the 3 golden rings. However, even if he were to absorb more elemental spirit energy and convert it into black hole energy, Qin Yu's black hole energy would not be able to be purified in the slightest. Could be said that Qin Yu had reached a bottleneck. No matter how much he absorbed, his attack power would not increase. The 7th stage is the dark star realm. The 8th stage is the black hole realm. In that case, what is the 9th stage? Qin Yu's consciousness was carefully pondering within the black hole passageway. Qin Yu actually had 2 main thoughts in his mind. The first was to utilize all the energy within that 2 to 3 meter space. After all, the black hole energy that he was using to attack was the energy of the 3 golden rings. However, no matter how much energy there was in that 2 to 3 meter space, Qin Yu would not be able to use it all at once. He could only store it as a backup. If he were to refine it and purify it, his attack power would increase greatly. However, how to refine it was a problem. The second was to compress all the energy within that 2 to 3 meter space. Compress it non-stop. From Qin Yu's point of view, the reduction in size meant that the energy would undergo a qualitative change. However, the black hole energy that had been converted from countless elemental spirit energy was already very pure. Qin Yu did not know how to compress it again. What exactly should I do? Qin Yu was pondering unceasingly. One after another, unrealistic ideas flashed through his mind. For example, he wanted to evolve his Dantian into a galaxy and so on. He even wanted to create another black hole and see what would happen if he had 2 black holes in his Dantian. Would they fuse? Or would both collapse under the influence of each other? However, Qin Yu did not dare to try such whimsical things at will. Those that were too whimsical would most likely cause the black hole in his body to collapse or even cause the energy to explode. As a result, he would lose his life. Creating a cultivation technique was not a whimsical idea. It could only be done when one had enough confidence. It was just like when Qin Yu was in the mortal realm. At the moment when he saw the evolution of the stellar realm, he suddenly came to a realization. At that moment, Qin Yu was absolutely certain that the evolution of the stellar realm into the black hole realm was definitely possible. However, the current Qin Yu was unable to find that sort of feeling. Black hole realm, what is the next realm? The days of seclusion were dull. Qin Yu had once recalled the various changes of the stars in the universe. He had even left the Jianglan's realm by himself to look at the boundless outer space. However, in the end, Qin Yu still returned to the Jianglan's realm helplessly. In the Jianglan's realm, after 10 years of bitter contemplation, Qin Yu was certain of one thing. For the time being, he was unable to make a breakthrough. Sigh, it is impossible to succeed even if one has the heart to explore. I can only temporarily not think about it. Who knows when I might have a flash of inspiration. Qin Yu consoled himself. In these 10 years he had thought of many methods. However, there were only a few that could succeed. Merely, those few methods were too conventional. Qin Yu was certain that if he were to continue on like that, he would not be able to obtain much improvement. According to Qin Yu's understanding, every breakthrough in the stellar transformation would bring about an astonishing change. It's already very difficult to make a breakthrough in the stellar transformation martial technique. If I want to increase my strength, then I'll have to train my body. Qin Yu made a decision in his heart. No matter what, he could not waste the time to train. His brothers were all rapidly increasing their strength. He must also work hard. As Qin Yu was pondering, he walked to Wu Lan's residence. Qin Yu, why have you come? Wu Lan said to Qin Yu with a smile. Upon seeing Wu Lan, Qin Yu's eyes shined. Mr. Wu Lan, it seems to me that you've broken through? Today Wu Lan was filled with smiles. He said with a smile, "That's right. After all these years, I've finally reached level 8 Demon Emperor from level 7 Demon Emperor. Haha. Fortunately, I'm training in the Jianglan's realm. If I were still in the immortal devil and demon realm, with the density of the elemental spirit energy there, who knows how long I'd have to wait. Compared to the divine realm, I'm afraid that even with the conditions in the Jianglan's realm, it's still far inferior," said Qin Yu with a smile. Wu Lan nodded honestly. Indeed, it's far inferior. However, in the divine realm my cultivation speed is even slower than in the immortal devil and demon realm. Oh! Qin Yu was surprised. The conditions in the divine realm were better than here. Why would his cultivation be slower in the divine realm? Let's not talk about the divine realm anymore. Wu Lan lightly smiled and shook his head. Qin Yu also did not ask anymore. Suddenly, Qin Yu thought of his own problem. He asked, "Mr. Wu Lan, do you have any good body training martial techniques? I want to train my body." Body training martial techniques. Wu Lan pondered for a moment. From what I know, in the immortal devil and demon realm, the people with the strongest body training martial techniques ought to be the people from the Dark Star realm. Dark Star realm. Qin Yu smiled helplessly. Could it be that Mr. Wu Lan knows of the martial techniques that the people from the Dark Star realm use? I don't know, said Wu Lan with a smile. Qin Yu also smiled. This Wu Lan was playing with him. Haha, earlier I was only talking about the strongest body training martial techniques in the immortal devil and demon realm. Yi Chu is not from the immortal devil and demon realm. His body training martial technique is definitely not inferior to the people from the Dark Star realm, said Wu Lan with a beaming smile. Qin Yu immediately realized that Yi Chu was a Tyrannosaurus Rex that came from another cosmic space. Qin Yu also knew about the body training martial technique of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Even the level 7 Demon Emperor Yi Chu's strength was not inferior to the level 7 Demon Emperor Ao Wu. From this, it could be seen how powerful Yi Chu's body training martial technique was. Will Yi Chu be willing to tell me about it? Qin Yu was not certain. Wu Lan said indifferently, "I don't know about that. Whether or not Yi Chu is willing to teach you the body training martial technique of the dinosaur clan will depend on your own ability." With an intention, Qin Yu immediately thought of where Yi Chu was at. Sigh, so boring. Yi Chu was holding a 3,000-meter tall mountain. He was unceasingly throwing it into the sky, catching it and throwing it again. As he was throwing it, he was sighing. So boring. A mountain was being thrown just like that. How could he make Yi Chu teach him the dinosaur martial technique? Qin Yu pondered for a long time. However, he did not have a method with 100% certainty. If there's really no other way, then I can only sacrifice myself. Mr. Wu Lan, I'll be leaving first. Qin Yu bid farewell. I wish you success, said Wu Lan with a beaming smile. Qin Yu bitterly smiled. Success? That would be very difficult. Immediately after, Qin Yu's figure disappeared into thin air. In an instant, he arrived at Yi Chu's location. Chapter 404. The 3,000-meter-tall mountain was being tossed up unceasingly. The person who was tossing up the mountain like a stone was the extremely bored Yi Chu. Sigh, that guy Ao Wushu has reached level 8 Demon Emperor. And now, even Boss Wu Lan has reached level 8 Demon Emperor. Among the three of us, only I am still a level 7 Demon Emperor. When will I be able to reach this silver level? Yi Chu muttered as his hands mechanically tossed up the mountain. Yi Chu. A voice sounded. Yi Chu heard someone calling for him. He turned around and saw Qin Yu walking over with a smile on his face. Chu said, "Oh, it's you. Qin Yu, why have you come to my place? Is there something you need?" "There is indeed a relatively important matter." Qin Yu walked to Yi Chu's side and stopped moving. Relatively important. Yi Chu raised his eyebrows and stared at Qin Yu with a pair of large tiger eyes. "Qin Yu, you have something important to discuss with me?" "I, Yi Chu, know myself very well. In terms of brains, I am far inferior to you all. As for strength, Ao Wushu and Boss Wu Lan are both stronger than me. Why are you looking for me?" Qin Yu pondered for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "Yi Chu, I will not beat around the bush with you." "That's right. I am fond of straightforward people. If I can help, I will definitely help," said Yi Chu straightforwardly. Qin Yu nodded. "In that case, I will speak the truth. Yi Chu, I have encountered a bottleneck in my martial technique and am unable to progress any further. However, my soul's realm is already very high. I do not wish to be unable to progress for a long period of time. Thus, I wish to train in external techniques. In other words, I want to train my body." "Came to find you. You want to train your body? Why did you come to find me?" Yi Chu shouted. Right after he said those words, Yi Chu suddenly opened his eyes wide. "Could it be that you want my dinosaur clan's martial technique?" "That's right." Qin Yu nodded. "Yi Chu, are you willing to teach your dinosaur clan's martial technique too?" "No." Before Qin Yu could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Yi Chu. Yi Chu was resolute and decisive without any hesitation. Following which, he glared at Qin Yu and said, "Qin Yu, no matter what, the cultivation techniques of my dinosaur race cannot be passed down to outsiders." Qin Yu felt helpless. What a headache. He was most worried about encountering such a situation, but he didn't expect to run into it. He also knew that some races valued the cultivation techniques of their own race to an astonishing degree. Now, it seemed that the dinosaur race was the same. Calm down, calm down." Qin Yu tried his best to calm himself down. Qin Yu squeezed out a smile as he looked at Yi Chu and said, "Yi Chu, stop talking. No matter what you say, I won't pass the dinosaur race's cultivation technique to you," Yi Chu said solemnly. Then, he ran to the side of the tall mountain and began to lift it up again. He didn't even look at Qin Yu. The 10,000-meter tall mountain was being tossed up again and again. Qin Yu smiled and said, "Well then, Yi Chu, I won't force you to pass the dinosaur race's martial technique to me. I can at least talk with you, right?" "That's good. I'm feeling very vexed right now." Yi Chu immediately beamed with happiness. Then he sighed to Qin Yu. "Qin Yu, you don't know this, but back then Ao Wushu, Boss Wu Lan and I were all level 7 Demon Emperors. Later on, Ao Wushu reached level 8 Demon Emperor. Recently, Boss Wu Lan has also reached level 8 Demon Emperor. Only I am still a level 7 Demon Emperor. This is truly infuriating. However, one cannot rush one's cultivation." Hearing that, Qin Yu immediately understood Yi Chu's current mood. "It should be because your dinosaur race's martial technique requires more time to cultivate. That's why you're slower than the other two. Qin Yu said with a smile. Nonsense. Yi Chu directly denied what Qin Yu had said. My dinosaur race's martial technique is a martial technique that countless ancestors of the various major races of the dinosaur race have summarized over countless years. The reason why I'm slower in cultivation might be because of my aptitude. Oh, that's right. Yi Chu, why are you unwilling to pass on your dinosaur race's martial technique to me? Qin Yu asked. Yi Chu said solemnly. The dinosaur race is divided into many different groups. My Tyrannosaurus rex's group is a particularly powerful group within the dinosaur race. The ancestors of my clan had told us when we were young that no matter what, we must not pass on our dinosaur race's martial technique to human cultivators. Qin Yu nodded. He knew about Yi Chu's hometown. That cosmic space was mainly filled with battles between the dinosaur race and human cultivators. Yi Chu, think about it. Why did your clan's ancestors strictly order us to not pass on our dinosaur martial technique to human cultivators? Furthermore, the human cultivators that your ancestors spoke of, where did those human cultivators come from? Qin Yu tried to entice Yi Chu. Yi Chu smiled complacently and said, "Course I know. The cosmic space that I was originally in was filled with battles between the dinosaur race and human cultivators. If I were to pass on my dinosaur race's martial technique, it would greatly increase the strength of human cultivators. As for the human cultivators, they would naturally be the human cultivators from my original space. In all of history, I reckon that there has never been a second person from the dinosaur race that came to the immortal devil and demon realm. The probability of going from one space to another, especially between spaces of the same level, was extremely low. For example, Qin Yu's master Lei Wei had inadvertently passed through a black hole and arrived at Qin Yu's hometown, the Purple Mystic Star, from the cosmic space where Earth was located. That's right. Qin Yu said with a smile. Yi Chu, you also understand that your ancestors wanted to prevent human cultivators from increasing their strength. However, I, Qin Yu, am someone from the immortal devil and demon realm. Even if I were to train in the dinosaur race's martial technique, it would not have any effect on your dinosaur race. Furthermore, this is the immortal devil and demon realm. Other than you, there is no second dinosaur race. If you were to pass on your martial technique to me, who would say anything about it? Yi Chu was slightly startled. Immediately after, he came to a sudden realization and laughed loudly. Haha, that's right. I am now the only dinosaur in the immortal devil and demon realm. Those rules of my clan do not bind me in any way. However, Qin Yu. Yi Chu looked at Qin Yu evilly. Since I am the only dinosaur in the entire immortal devil and demon realm, it means that other than me, no one else can teach you the dinosaur martial technique. The rarer something is, the more precious it is. This dinosaur martial technique is even more precious. How could I possibly give it to you so easily? After saying that, Yi Chu winked at Qin Yu and smiled complacently. Qin Yu felt helpless. This Yi Chu was truly cunning. After thinking that he was the only dinosaur in the immortal devil and demon realm and could disregard the rules of his clan, he actually did such a thing. Go ahead and speak. What request do you have? As long as I can agree to it, I will try my best to agree to it. Qin Yu smiled helplessly. Yi Chu shook his head and pondered for a moment. The dinosaur martial technique in the entire immortal devil and demon realm, only I know about it. If you want me to pass it to you, it's not impossible. However, you must have enough sincerity. Extremely sincerity. Top quality immortal artifact. Qin Yu carefully said a word. Yi Chu shook his head. Divine artifact. Qin Yu frowned. Yi Chu still shook his head. His face was filled with indifference. Then what do you want? Qin Yu grew anxious. Yi Chu said with a beaming smile. My request is not high. Staying in the Jianglan's realm is truly too boring. My dinosaur race loves killing the most. Qin Yu smiled. That's good. Don't you like to fight and kill? As long as I encounter any enemy, I'll have you go out and kill them. What do you think? Yi Chu shook his head and said. Boss Wu Lan said that he can only let me help you once. I must listen to Boss Wu Lan's words. Thus, I do not have the opportunity to kill. However, I also like to fight and kill people. How about this? You accompany me to play for 100 years and I'll teach you the dinosaur martial technique. Accompany you to play for 100 years. Qin Yu's heart trembled. If he were to fight against Yi Chu, he would likely be trampled upon. Qin Yu suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Immediately he said to Yi Chu, Yi Chu, didn't you say that you were bored and wanted someone to accompany you to fight and play? That's simple. There are so many spiritual beasts in the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. How about I send out several hundred to accompany you to play? Yi Chu muttered to himself for a moment. Finally he decided. How about this, you send out 100 spiritual beasts. Those 4 demon emperors must be among them. Have these 100 spiritual beasts accompany me to play. Other than that, you must also fight and play with me for 100 years. Alright, this is my request. If you agree to it, then agree to it. If you don't, then we'll part ways. Qin Yu opened his eyes wide. He did not expect this Yi Chu to be even more excessive. If you don't agree to it, then forget about it. After saying that, Yi Chu turned around. Qin Yu clenched his teeth. Even if his teeth were to shatter, he could only swallow them down. Fine, Yi Chu, I agree. Yi Chu immediately turned around with a beaming smile. That's more like it. Yi Chu seemed to be imagining himself trampling on Qin Yu. Seeing Yi Chu's expression, Qin Yu was furious. However, in the blink of an eye, a trace of a smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. Qin Yu, I believe in your reputation. Yi Chu flipped his hand and took out a moon-white jade disc. This is the jade disc that my dinosaur clan uses to record their martial techniques. I can see that your body is very tough and you've already reached the level of a level 2 or 3 demon emperor. You can directly cultivate the last of the 3 martial techniques, the 9 steps dark gold body. The first 2 martial techniques are for heavenly demons and demon kings to cultivate. You can skip them. Without the slightest hesitation, Qin Yu received the moon-white jade disc. So cold. The right hand that Qin Yu used to receive the jade disc couldn't help but tremble. This moon-white jade disc was like a block of ice. Its temperature was terrifyingly cold. Immediately after, Qin Yu stored the jade disc into his blazing profound ring. He would carefully study it after returning to his residence. Yi Chu said with a beaming smile. Qin Yu, then accompany me to play. Trampling on those spiritual beasts is boring. Trampling on you, my nominal master, is the most enjoyable. Qin Yu also had a face full of smiles. After an hour. Qin Yu, that's enough. There's no need for 100 years. This hour is more than enough. You can leave now, you can leave now. Yi Chu's voice sounded. At this moment, Yi Chu seemed to be seriously injured. His voice was also very weak. How can that be? Am I, Qin Yu, someone who doesn't keep my word? Qin Yu's voice sounded. A series of rumbling sounds were heard. It's not that you don't keep your word. Big brother Qin Yu, boss Qin Yu, please spare me. Soon after, Yi Chu's miserable shriek sounded. Boss Qin Yu, it's my fault. Beg of you. After a short period of time. And since it's your request, then I'll leave. Qin Yu said with a beaming smile. Without a speck of dust on his body, he left that place. All that remained was the pitiful Yi Chu, who was lying on the ground with a bloody nose and a swollen face. Yi Chu's face was filled with pity and helplessness. Ah, heavens, how could I have forgotten that Qin Yu is omnipotent in the Jianglan's realm? To fight against Qin Yu in the Jianglan's realm, Yi Chu was simply asking for a beating. Inside Qin Yu's personal residence's private room, Qin Yu sat down cross-legged. He couldn't help but recall the scene of him beating Yi Chu up earlier. He displayed a slight smile on his face. This sort of feeling of having everything under my control is truly delightful. Immediately after, Qin Yu extended his hand. A moon-white-colored jade plate appeared in Qin Yu's hand. Qin Yu's immortal awareness immediately entered the jade plate. A large amount of information was directly transmitted into Qin Yu's mind. In merely a snap of a finger, Qin Yu completely knew about the dinosaur martial technique from another cosmic space. 9 steps dark gold body. It sounds pretty exaggerated. All the information regarding the dinosaur clan's supreme martial technique, the 9 steps dark gold body, appeared in Qin Yu's mind. The dinosaur clan's martial technique mainly trained the bones of the entire body and the muscles as support. Regardless of whether it was a human or a dinosaur, their bones were innately harder than their muscles. Training one's bones would cause one's bones to become even harder. When Emperor-level experts reached the later stages of their training, their bones would become as hard as divine artifacts. According to what's written on the jade plate, once one reaches level 7 or level 8 Demon Emperor, one's bones would become terrifyingly hard. Furthermore, the bones in one's body are much easier to use than divine artifacts to begin with. Qin Yu couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Training in the 9 steps dark gold body, 9 out of 10 people would succeed in passing the divine tribulation. As for those who failed, it would be because of the heart tribulation. This is truly exaggerated. In short, the jade plate had exaggerated the 9 steps dark gold body to the extreme. However, Qin Yu also knew that the level 7 Demon Emperor Yi Chu possessed strength close to that of the level 8 Immortal Emperor Emperor Yu. From this, it could be seen how powerful the dinosaur martial technique was. No wonder I have never seen Yi Chu in seclusion training before. So it turns out that this dinosaur clan's martial technique is something that one can train at any time while moving. Qin Yu immediately stood up and walked toward the entrance of the private room. From the place where Qin Yu was sitting cross-legged to the entrance of the private room, there was a distance of 7 steps. Qin Yu merely walked to the 3rd step. Then, his entire body started to emit red light. 4th step, the red light disappeared. 5th step, orange light appeared on the surface of Qin Yu's body. 6th step, the orange light disappeared. 7th step, Qin Yu walked out of the private room. After walking to the lakeside in front of his residence, Qin Yu's body no longer emitted any light. With a flip of his hand, Qin Yu took out a fishing hook. Then, he sat on the lakeside and began to fish. With my original body's toughness, I should be able to directly step into the 3rd stage of the 9 steps dark gold body. I wonder how long it'll take for me to reach the 9th stage. Qin Yu muttered. Suddenly, a joyous expression appeared on his face. Oh, the fish took the bait. Time passed. In the endless years, Qin Yu began the most peaceful period of time since his birth. Chapter 405. The 9 transformations dark gold body was divided into 9 major realms. They were red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, silver and dark gold. Once this cultivation technique was circulated, the bones in the body would undergo an astonishing transformation. With each transformation, the light emitted by the bones in the body would also change. When the bones in the body emitted a dark gold color, it was considered a success. The 9 transformations dark gold body mainly cultivated the bones in the body, with the muscles as a supplement. Qin Yu's body was already strong enough. With this cultivation technique, he directly stepped into the 3rd level. The bones in his body emitted a faint golden color. Qin Yu had advanced rapidly at the beginning and reached the 3rd level in an instant. This was why the light was emitted. Under normal circumstances, the light emitted by the bones was only on the surface of the bones. Could not be seen from the outside. This was unless the cultivator intentionally released it. Qin Yu sat by the lake and quietly fished. Inside his body, every bone in Qin Yu's body faintly had some talisman seal patterns. It was not just the bones. When Qin Yu cultivated, all kinds of talisman seal patterns faintly appeared on the surface of his skin. I see. 27,000 talisman seal patterns. I wonder how many ancestors of the dinosaur race summed up the best combination after countless experiments. Qin Yu smiled. If one used their immortal senses to observe, they would discover that there were electric snakes on the tiny talisman seal patterns on Qin Yu's muscles and bones. The electric snakes constantly seeped into Qin Yu's body, and the bones and muscles in his body were also undergoing changes. Apart from these electric snakes, there was also a green light that constantly seeped into Qin Yu's body. Bones and muscles could not directly absorb heaven and earth energy to transform, but after being transformed by the talisman seal patterns, the electric snakes formed could fuse with the bones and muscles, causing the insides of the bones and muscles to constantly shatter and regenerate. 3,000 talisman seal patterns formed a group that could cover every part of the body. Qin Yu's body had a total of 9 groups of talisman seal patterns. They were stacked together, but the main effect of each level of the cultivation technique was different. After carefully observing his body for a long time, Qin Yu finally understood. Even if I don't cultivate, the elemental life force can make my body stronger. Qin Yu was very clear about this. At this moment, countless tiny electric serpents were transforming his body, but at the same time, rays of green light were fusing into his body. The green light was the elemental life force. Unbeknownst to Qin Yu's body was slowly improving. Ha ha! Qin Yu suddenly laughed. When the members of the dinosaur race train, they are afraid that if they absorb too many lightning serpents, their bones and tendons won't be able to take it and will break apart. Thus they need to train step by step. But I have the elemental life force. I don't need to worry about that. With a thought from Qin Yu, the 27,000 talismans emitted a faint brilliance, and the number of electric snakes suddenly increased. A series of crackling sounds came from Qin Yu's body. Even the muscles in his body began to tremble. In a blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. At this moment, Qin Yu was playing Go with Wu Lan. The rules of Go were taught to Wu Lan by Qin Yu. After all, Wu Lan had never learned Go before. Although Qin Yu's technique was not strong, bullying the beginner Wu Lan was extremely easy. In the past 300 years, Wu Lan had lost more than he won when playing Go with Qin Yu. Big brother, big brother. An anxious voice sounded from afar. Your third brother is calling for you. You can go and do what you need to do. Let's forget about this game. Wu Lan immediately waved his hand and messed up the chess pieces. Hey, stop! With a thought from Qin Yu, a layer of invisible energy covered the chessboard. Immediately after, Qin Yu smiled and said, Big brother Wu Lan, you're about to lose this game. You still want to destroy the chess pieces at this time. That won't do. You brat. Wu Lan's face was filled with a helpless smile. Big brother. Kuro arrived beside Qin Yu. With a face filled with excitement, Kuro said, Big brother Ling she. Excited, Kuro was unable to finish his sentence. What's wrong with Ling? Qin Yu looked to Kuro with a confused expression. Kuro swallowed and then said, Ling is pregnant. Pregnant. Qin Yu and Wu Lan both opened their eyes wide. Mixed hair bird, what did you say? A figure flew over from afar like lightning. Ho Fei was looking at Kuro with his eyes wide open. At this moment, Qin Yu, Ho Fei and Wu Lan all displayed expressions of joy on their faces. That's right, Ling is pregnant. I'm going to be a father. Haha, I'm going to be a father. Ever since Bai Ling became pregnant, everyone in the Jianglan's realm had become excited. After all, cultivators had lived for a very long time and did not have many things to do. Now that they knew that Bai Ling was pregnant, naturally everyone began to move. Not only Qin Yu and his brothers, even Yi Chu, Wu Lan, Shizhan and Yun Ming, the 4 great demon emperors and even the ice-cold Ao Wushu had rushed over. All of you stay outside, do not come in. The only female among the 4 demon emperors, Demon Emperor Dong Shui, shut the group of people outside the entrance and entered the courtyard herself. Outside the entrance. Xiaohei, don't be nervous. Bai Ling is after all a level 9 demon king. Giving birth to a child is not a big problem. At the very most, her vitality would be greatly damaged. Qin Yu comforted. Qin Yu had heard of the demon realm's people giving birth. The more powerful a divine beast was, the more difficult it was for them to give birth. However, he had never heard of a divine beast dying from childbirth. No. Kuro nodded. Sigh, I wonder what the true form of Mai and Bai Ling's child will be. Who cares what level it is? At the very least, it should be a divine beast. Ho Fei muttered at the side. Mixed hairbird, you are either a high-level or super-divine beast. Bai Ling is also a low-level divine beast. Your child is most likely a divine beast. It's just that I don't know what level it will be. The ice-cold Ao Wushu at the side also interrupted. If it's not from the eagle race, then it's from the skylark race. Not necessarily. Wulon smiled and said. It could also be a mutated divine beast. Of course, the probability is very low. However, this child's father is a mutated divine beast. I believe that he wouldn't be ordinary. Mutated divine beasts were rare to begin with. As for what their children would be, it was hard to say. After all, there were too few examples. This group of bored people began to guess outside the courtyard. Only Kuro would occasionally look inside the courtyard. He was very anxious in his heart. It's born. A surprised voice sounded from inside. Soon after, Bai Ling and Dong Shui, who were slightly pale, walked out. At this moment, Bai Ling was carrying a little chick. Immediately, a group of people surrounded them to see what the true form of the chick was. Looks like a skylark. However, why is it black in color? Ho Fei said in shock. There were many types of skylarks. There were yellow feathers, white feathers, and even multicolored feathers. However, there were no black feathers. Yet, the little chick was covered in black feathers. Black is good, it looks like me. Kuro's face was filled with joy. He walked over to Bai Ling and said, Linger, it's been hard on you. Bai Ling smiled and shook her head. Soon after, she lowered her head and looked at the adorable black chick. It looks just like Xiao Hei when he was young. Qin Yu at the side said with a smile. He recalled the time when he first picked up Xiao Hei when he was a child. He really did look like this black chick. Only one was an eagle chick and the other was a skylark. Big brother. Hearing Qin Yu say it like that, Kuro felt a bit embarrassed. Qin Yu smiled. Enough, I won't say any more. Xiao Hei, have you thought of a name for this child? I have. If it's a boy, then he'll be called Hei Tong. If it's a girl, then she'll be called Hei Tong. Kuro said straightforwardly. The surrounding people were all slightly startled. Bai Ling looked to Kuro in confusion. Big brother Yu, why are the names the same? Oh, the sound is the same but the characters are different. As Kuro said that, he wrote for everyone to see. Only then did everyone come to a sudden realization. Hey, little Bai Ling, is it a boy or a girl? Ho Fei promptly asked. Bai Ling smiled brilliantly. A girl. After Xiao Hei Tong was born, she became the happy fruit of the entire Jianglan's realm, the apple of everyone's eye. After Xiao Hei Tong's 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation, only then did Qin Yu and them know that Hei Tong did not possess any inherited memories. Evidently, Xiao Hei Tong was not a high-level divine beast or a super-divine beast. Actually, after seeing that Xiao Hei Tong's true form was a skylark, everyone somewhat understood. That was because the Skylark clan was a weak clan within the Bird clan. Their strongest divine beast was only a mid-level divine beast. Although Xiao Hei Tong was a bit special, her true form being a skylark determined that she would not be too powerful. The Jianglan's realm possessed an abundance of elemental spirit energy. In about 100 years, Xiao Hei Tong passed the 9 frosty heavenly tribulation. With a top-quality defensive immortal artifact and a top-quality offensive immortal artifact given to her by her uncle, Qin Yu, she easily passed the 9 frosty heavenly tribulation. Soon after, Xiao Hei Tong directly transformed into a human form, an adorable young girl. What? You've reached the 5th stage of the 9 steps dark gold body? How many years has it been? It's only been 500 years. Yi Chu looked to Qin Yu in disbelief. When training the body, one must be extremely careful. Otherwise, if one's bones were to break, one would have to spend a large amount of energy to repair them. The harder the bones, the harder it would be to repair them once they broke. Thus, the people of the dinosaur clan were all extremely careful when training. They would rather slow down their training speed than have their bones break. After all, upon reaching level 7 Demon Emperor, one's bones would be comparable to divine artifacts. Just by thinking about the difficulty of repairing a damaged divine artifact, one would know how difficult it would be to repair a broken bone. Is it fast? Qin Yu asked. However, he was thinking in his heart. And here I thought it was slow. Took you over 500 years to reach the 5th stage. It's not fast. I've never seen anyone train the 9 steps dark gold body faster than you. I've been stuck at the 7th stage for all these years and have yet to break through. You must know that my soul's level has already reached level 8 Demon Emperor. The reason why I need to be careful when training my body. Uncle, play with me. A black-clothed adorable young girl ran over. Father and second uncle are always fighting and training together. They're not willing to play with me. Okay, I'll play with you. Qin Yu smiled helplessly. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yu and his brothers had already trained in the Jianglan's realm for 1,000 years. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro and Bai Ling were sitting in a circle. Truly fast, 1,000 years have passed. Hou Fei gasped in admiration. Immediately after, he looked to Kuro. Mixed Hairbird, your cultivation speed is truly fast. To reach level 5 Demon Emperor from level 1 Demon Emperor in 1,000 years, I am now certain that you're definitely a variation super divine beast. Fei, how can you be so certain? Qin Yu, who stood to the side, asked in confusion. Hou Fei said helplessly. Big brother, I'm already a level 6 Demon Emperor now. However, after reaching level 6 Demon Emperor, if I were to only use the heaven-startling 18 stick strikes, I would only be able to tie with this guy. Unless I use the heaven-startling 9 stick strikes that I have yet to completely comprehend, only then would I be able to defeat him. Really? Qin Yu was surprised. Hou Fei was a super divine beast. Even if he were to only use the heaven-startling 18 stick strikes, it would still be very valiant and capable of defeating ordinary level 7 Demon Emperors. How could this be fake? Hou Fei sighed. Kuro and Bai Ling took a glance at each other. They were merely snickering at the side. Hou Fei said to Qin Yu. Big brother, you don't know. The super divine beasts of the Pang clan are extremely fast. However, their defense is not very good. Qin Yu nodded. He knew about this. Hou Fei then angrily pointed at Kuro. However, this abnormal Kuro in terms of speed far surpasses me. That's not all. The Kuro battle armor formed by the feathers on his body is now so strong that its defense is close to that of a divine artifact. My ordinary attacks are simply unable to break through his defense. Furthermore, his Kuro battle armor is made of layers of feathers. Through the layers of feathers, he is able to reduce the power of my attacks. His defense is truly abnormal. Qin Yu looked to Kuro in shock. He knew that Kuro's speed was exceptional. Back in the mortal realm, Kuro knew all of Zhongju's movement techniques. When Kuro was young, the feathers on his body were already frighteningly hard. Who would have thought that his defense would now be close to that of a divine artifact? His defense is abnormal. His speed is terrifying. There is also that cloud-piercing spear that Uncle Lon gave him. After fighting with me for so many years, he comprehended the Tao through battle. Needless to say, his attack is simply perfect. He is definitely a mutated super divine beast. He is even more terrifying than ordinary super divine beasts. He simply has no weaknesses. Hou Fei's words were filled with grief and indignation. Qin Yu's heart was filled with joy. The stronger Xiao Hei was, the happier Qin Yu was. Big brother, what level have you cultivated to? Your soul's realm has increased. Even I am unable to see through you. Hou Fei and Kuro both looked to Qin Yu. Bai Ling also looked to Qin Yu. Qin Yu smiled lightly and said, "My soul's realm has already reached the third layer of the heavenly soul realm. It is normal for you all to be unable to see through me. As for the 9 steps dark gold body, I reached the 6th layer over 200 years ago. Right now, I am not far from the 7th layer." Qin Yu was very confident. Even though he had reached the 6th layer, he was still able to catch up to the level 7 demon Emperor Yi Chu. That was because he possessed the life elemental energy. Even if his bones were to break, he would be able to rapidly heal them. Furthermore, the hardness of his bones was close to that of a divine artifact. It would not be that easy to break them. "Big brother monkey, can we go out now?" Kuro suddenly said. Chapter 406. Go out. Qin Yu and Hou Fei were both slightly startled. 1,000 years of peaceful life had already made them accustomed to it. Suddenly mentioning about going out, the two of them were both shocked. Big brother, second brother. Bai Ling's face was also filled with guilt. "All these years, brother Yu and I have always been worried about my sister. I believe that with our current strength, as long as we do not encounter the Pang Demon Emperor, we should not be in any danger. Furthermore, even if we were to encounter the Pang Demon Emperor, we would still be able to rely on the Jianglan's realm to protect our lives." Kuro also looked to Qin Yu and Hou Fei. "Big brother, you make the decision." Hou Fei looked to Qin Yu and handed the decision to Qin Yu. Qin Yu pondered for a moment. Fei is currently a level 6 demon emperor. However, as a super divine beast, he is comparable to a level 7 demon emperor. If he were to add on his strongest stick technique, he would not be at a disadvantage against an ordinary level 8 demon emperor. Qin Yu evaluated in his heart. Xiao He is a level 5 demon emperor. As a variation super divine beast, regardless of whether it's defense, attack or movement, they are all perfect. He ought to be able to fight against a level 7 demon emperor. As for me, I have reached the 6th stage of the 9 steps dark gold body. Adding on my life elemental energy, I should be able to fight against an ordinary level 8 demon emperor. Hou Fei, Kuro and Bai Ling all looked to Qin Yu. They were waiting for Qin Yu to make the decision. Among the 3 brothers, Qin Yu was after all the big brother. "Good, let's go out." Qin Yu had a slight smile on his face. "Haha, good. It's been a long time since we went out. Going out for a stroll is truly delightful." Hou Fei was the first to celebrate. Kuro and Bai Ling also looked to Qin Yu gratefully. They knew that Qin Yu did not have much expectations for the outside world. According to Qin Yu's own intentions, he ought to wholeheartedly train in the Jianglan's realm until he could open the 3rd layer of the Jianglan's realm. "Big brother, thank you," Kuro said solemnly. Actually, I also want to go out for a stroll," Qin Yu said with a faint smile. Kuro didn't say much. He just needed to remember it in his heart. And at this moment, Bai Ling suddenly recalled something. "Big brother, I remember that you said that you wanted to open the 3rd layer of the Jianglan's realm. Your current strength is much higher than 1,000 years ago. Are you able to open the 2nd layer?" The 9 steps dark gold body mainly refines the body. Although I also possess the 6th stage 9 steps force in my body, but this 9 steps force is not very powerful. It's only comparable to a level 5 demon emperor. If I want to rely on it to open the Jianglan's realm. Qin Yu lightly smiled and shook his head. At the same time, he raised his right hand. His 5 fingertips emitted unceasingly swallowing and spitting out blue-colored finger rays. Compared to his own body, the 9 revolutions force was indeed not that powerful. However, compared to the black hole energy that had not improved, it was still a lot stronger. Black hole realm. Qin Yu sighed in his heart. This stellar transformation technique was a knot in Qin Yu's heart. As for when he would be able to create the next realm, even Qin Yu himself did not know. In terms of soul realm in the past 1,000 years, Qin Yu himself had not even specially trained in it. However, Lu Xing's tears had forcibly allowed Qin Yu's soul to reach the third layer of the heavenly soul realm. Of course, he had only just reached the third layer of the heavenly soul realm. He still needed a long period of time to completely consolidate his soul. The current 9 steps force is unable to open the second layer of the Jianglan's realm. Qin Yu said helplessly. The first layer of the Jianglan's realm requires the strength of a level 5 or 6 golden immortal. As for the second layer, I truly do not know what level of strength one must reach in order to open it. Hou Fei, Kuro and Bai Ling were all overwhelmed with shock. Qin Yu's current strength was already this powerful, yet he was unable to even open the second layer of the Jianglan's realm. In that case, what level of strength would one need to reach in order to open the third layer of the Jianglan's realm? At the very least, it was likely that he had already ascended to the divine realm. Big brother, could it be that Uncle Lon is someone from the divine realm? Hou Fei suddenly said in a low voice. Kuro and Bai Ling also looked to Qin Yu. Kuro also spoke. Big brother, back then, Uncle Lon had me and the monkey go to a mysterious place to train. A year in the outside world was 100 years in that place. This sort of time ratio was the same as the second layer of the Jianglan's realm. This sort of remarkable ability, the people of the immortal, devil and demon realm do not possess the strength to use it. Even the Dragon Emperor and the Great Ape Emperor were unable to use it. Not only those things that Mixed Hairbird mentioned, there's also this black stick of mine and Mixed Hairbird's cloud-piercing spear. These weapons are indeed strange. When we were in the mortal realm, we were already able to use them. However, we did not discover anything extraordinary about them. However, with our current strength we are still able to use them. This black stick and cloud-piercing spear are still incomparably hard. Until now, I have yet to discover anything that is harder than them. Hou Fei said with a frown. Kuro nodded. Furthermore, holding the cloud-piercing spear, I seem to be able to sense the heaven and earth even more easily. For me to progress so quickly, it was not only because of my talent and inherited memories. The cloud-piercing spear that Uncle Lon bestowed upon me also played an important role. This sort of treasure, I have never heard of it before. When they were in the mortal realm, Hou Fei, Kuro and them only thought that Uncle Lon was a powerful loose immortal. When Hou Fei and Kuro reached the Deshang stage, they thought that Uncle Lon was a powerful super expert of the immortal realm. However, now that they were all emperor-level experts of the immortal realm, when they thought about it, this Uncle Lon was even more frightening. The more their strength increased, the more they discovered how unfathomable Uncle Lon was. That's right. How could I not have thought of what you all have said? For example, Uncle Lan's clone was actually left in the Ni Yang's realm. Even Wu Lan's clone was not inferior in the slightest. Furthermore, the Zhang Lan's realm. I even suspect that the Zhang Lan's realm ought to have surpassed the category of divine artifacts. Qin Yu said with a light smile. Every time he was in the Zhang Lan's realm and felt that everything was within his control, Qin Yu would feel even more that Uncle Lon who created the Zhang Lan's realm was unfathomable. The third layer space of the Zhang Lan's realm. According to my deduction, if I were to open the third layer space, then I'm afraid that I would have already reached the divine realm. What you all said is correct. Uncle Lon and Li Er are very possibly people from the divine realm. Qin Yu had a tranquil expression. That was because he already knew all of this in his heart. The road ahead was very long. However, he had to walk with his feet firmly on the ground until the end. Kuro, Hou Fei and Bai Ling merely sucked in a mouthful of air and did not say anything. Well then, everyone prepare yourselves. Tomorrow we shall depart for the core planet of the bird clan, the Black Crow Star. Qin Yu stood up and said, Black Crow Star, the core planet of the bird clan in the demon realm. There were a total of 2 cities on the Black Crow Star. They were respectively the Black Crow City and the Imperial City. In terms of size, the Black Crow City was several tens of times larger than the Imperial City. A large amount of Bird Clan's experts as well as troops from other realms lived in the Black Crow City. This place was a place where anyone could enter. However, the Imperial City was different. Other than the guards and maids of the Imperial City, Only super divine beasts, high-level divine beasts, emperor-level experts and their family members were allowed to live in the imperial city. Of course, those who received the invitation from the imperial city were also allowed to enter. Inside the imperial city, in the deepest part of the imperial city was the imperial palace. It was the residence of the successive generations of Pang Demon Emperors. According to the order of this generation's Pang Demon Emperor, the entire imperial palace had been reconstructed. Its original golden color had turned into a deep purple color. The deep purple color was already close to black. There were 3 most powerful demon emperors under the Pang Demon Emperor. These 3 demon emperors were all level 8 demon emperors. At the same time, they were all high-level divine beasts. One of them was even an extremely powerful variation high-level divine beast. Variation super divine beasts were extremely rare. However, there were still some variation high-level divine beasts in the entire demon realm. Although they were very few in number, there were at least 6 or 7 of them. An incomparably beautiful woman wearing plain clothes was quietly reclining on the bed. This woman was the only female among the 3 great experts under the Pang Demon Emperor. Level 8 Demon Emperor Bai Feng. At the same time, she was also the think tank under the Pang Demon Emperor. Almost all of the matters were decided by Bai Feng. Only when there was a major matter would the Pang Demon Emperor need to manage it. A nearly transparent muslin curtain was floating in the air. Inside was a beautiful white-clothed enchanting woman. Outside of the muslin curtain stood a black-clothed youth respectfully. "My lady." The black-clothed youth did not even bother to look at the curtain. Bai Feng raised her brows. Indifferently she said, "Have you found Xiao He?" The black-clothed youth said respectfully, "My lady, ever since 100 years ago when we investigated the whereabouts of Xiao He on the Jade Shepherd Star, this Xiao He seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No matter how hard we tried to investigate, we were unable to find any trace of Xiao He." "Have you investigated all of the Emperor-level experts?" Bai Feng asked. "That's right. All of the Emperor-level experts that we've discovered were thoroughly investigated," said the black-clothed youth respectfully. Bai Feng's voice contained a trace of anger. "After all these years, we're actually unable to find any trace of Xiao He. I presume that you all also know that this pursuit of Xiao He was personally ordered by His Majesty. His Majesty attaches great importance to this matter. To not be able to find any trace of Xiao He in 100 years. His Majesty's patience has already reached its limit. You all ought to know what the result would be once His Majesty gets angry." The black-clothed youth's entire body trembled. A trace of fear flashed through his eyes. The Pang Demon Emperor killed people like drinking water. His degree of ruthlessness had caused even the 3 great experts under him to be frightened, much less this black-clothed youth and them. "Well then you can scram." Bai Feng was unable to conceal her anger. She who possessed a very good upbringing actually burst out with a foul language. The black-clothed youth hurriedly moved away. After the black-clothed youth left, Bai Feng stood up from the bed. She opened the muslin curtain and revealed her astonishing appearance. At this moment, her beautiful brows were slightly creased. She muttered, "Where exactly did this Kuro hide himself? Sigh, isn't His Majesty paying too much attention to him this time around? Even if this Kuro's talent was even better, even if he was that perfect, how could he possibly be a match for His Majesty who possesses an inherited treasure?" The only people who truly knew about Kuro's identity were only the trusted aides of the Pang Demon Emperor. The other people who were pursuing him still thought that it was Xiao He the entire time. Black Crow Star, Black Crow City. Qin Yu, Ho Fei and Kuro slightly changed their appearances. Even the color of their clothes had slightly changed. After having Bai Ling and He Tong peacefully stay in the Jianglan's realm, Qin Yu and his brothers left the Jianglan's realm and rushed to the Black Crow City in a single breath. This Black Crow City is truly large. It's much larger than the small planet that I'm hiding on. Kuro looked at his surroundings and gasped in admiration. This Black Crow City is after all the core planet of the Bird Clan. How could it possibly be small? Qin Yu said with a light smile. A voice suddenly sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Big brother, we've already arrived at the Black Crow City. However, how are we to enter the Imperial City? This was Ho Fei's demon awareness voice transmission. Qin Yu looked to Ho Fei beside him. After pondering for a moment, he sent a voice transmission. I'll have people test it out first to see if we can enter the Imperial City. Qin Yu did not want to test it out himself. Instead, with an intention, he brought out the weakest demon emperor from the third layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, Demon Emperor Ming Zheng from the Jianglan's realm. Upon seeing Qin Yu, Ming Zheng slightly bowed and said with a voice transmission, I pay my respects to my master. Qin Yu nodded in satisfaction. This Ming Zheng also knew that they were currently on the streets and thus did not directly say it out loud. Qin Yu immediately ordered, Ming Zheng, this is the core planet of the Bird Clan, the Black Crow Star. Go to the Imperial City and see if there's a way to enter the Imperial City. If there's no way, you can directly return. Do not alert the enemy. Ming Zheng bowed. Immediately after, he turned into a ray of light and soared into the sky. Qin Yu lightly smiled and took a glance at Ho Fei and Kuro. Let's go, we'll find a place to stay first. Rescuing Bai Ling's older sister Bai Xian was not a simple matter. They could not directly rush to the Imperial City. If they did that, they would most likely be surrounded and killed. There's no need to rush. Let's find a restaurant to eat and drink first. We have not eaten anything good in the past 1,000 years. Ho Fei's eyes shined. Although some fish had been bred in the Jianglan's realm, but in terms of culinary ability, how could Qin Yu and them possibly match up to those chefs in the restaurants? Soon after, the three brothers all rushed toward a luxurious restaurant not far away. In a single breath, they ordered several tens of dishes and then began to eat and drink. After eating and drinking their fill, the three of them finally found a place to stay and peacefully settled down. Big brother, why hasn't that subordinate of yours returned yet? Ho Fei asked in a slightly anxious manner. Qin Yu was able to sense Ming Zheng's current location. Rest assured, Ming Zheng is already on his way back. After a short while, a ray of light shot directly into the manor that Qin Yu and his brothers lived in from the horizon. Qin Yu and his brothers walked out of the main hall and saw Ming Zheng kneeling on one knee in the courtyard. Ming Zheng, what's the result? Qin Yu asked. Ming Zheng replied respectfully. The rules set up by the Pang Demon Emperor are extremely strict. Outsiders are simply not allowed to enter the Imperial City. Even if it's an Emperor-level expert from the Bird Clan, they still have to go through the Imperial Palace's investigation in order to be qualified to possess the Imperial City's title plate and enter the Imperial City. This subordinate has yet to discover any method to enter the Imperial City. Qin Yu frowned. The situation seemed to be pretty bad. You can go back and rest first. Qin Yu directly took Ming Zheng into the Jianglan's realm. After that, Qin Yu lowered his head and began to ponder. If nothing unexpected happened, Bai Ling's older sister ought to be living in Zhong Ju's residence in the Imperial City. However, none of the three of them were able to send a transmission to Zhong Ju. Ho Fei and Kuro were also pondering. Teleportation is not possible. Sneaking in is even harder. What should we do? Ho Fei muttered. Qin Yu, who was pondering, suddenly had a happy expression. He looked to his two brothers. Fei, Xiaohei, I've thought of a method. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.